Hello, my astrology friends. This is Lada from AstroladaOfficial, and these are your November 2024 video horoscopes. And November has revolutionary vibes with an explosive full moon conjunct Uranus on the star of craziness, on the star of mass formation, which is called Algol. This means to lose one's head, and Pluto is moving into Aquarius for the next 18 years. And last time Pluto was in Aquarius when the biggest revolutions in the world happened, the French Revolution, the American Revolution, change of governments, change of the whole social system of the world from kings and vassals into so-called democracies. We are on the verge of something huge here. And it's going to unfold over the next 18 years, but it's starting now in November. And we have the Pluto-Mars opposition, which is quite, has this kind of insurrection energy to it as well. But before we start, I'll lead you through the 12 signs, the timestamp. We're using tropical zodiac, Western astrology. Listen to your sun, moon, and ascendant if you can. Of course, the ascendant is always the most specific. And before I start, just want to let you know that I'm releasing today, or finally, my 2025 video horoscopes for each of the 12 signs. I've been doing them for over the last 5 years. They've sold more than 50,000 over the years. People love them. These ones are the longest, 2.5 hours, some signs. And because next year is crazy, 2025, we have Neptune changing signs, Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter, the nodes, and eclipses, and the craziest year. And Saturn-Neptune conjunction, and 2026 as well. It reminds me of 2020, but in a different way, not in this negative way. But it's going to be so powerful, and I lead you month by month, each sign. You can buy 3 in a package if you want, or single just for your sun or ascendant sign. And they're 30% off, up to 50 if you buy all 12 till the 4th of November. This is early bird pre-order. They will be released on the 4th of November. Also, my calendar is available, 200 pages of day by day what is happening for everyone. Again, it's early bird pre-order. But let's start now with November. Thank you for listening to my pitch, but this is my work of love. I work on them for months. And let's lead you first through the general energies of the month. I think it's important if you're interested what's happening in the world and so on. The month starts with the new moon in Scorpio on the 1st of November. This new moon is intense. It gives us focus. New moons is new beginnings. So over the next 15 days after that, you can initiate new beginnings. And the good thing is that this new moon has only a sextile from Saturn. So it's stabilizing. Scorpio new moons can be quite, can shake us up. They can be very transformative. They can be some big, intense changes. But because Saturn is holding a trine to this new moon, it is going to be more stable. The changes, the new beginnings will be more stable. And whatever you start now will have long-lasting results. Because Saturn is trining, it will be slower to give results, but might take months or years or whatever, or depends what the specific event you're starting, but it will have consistent, long-lasting results. So a transformation that you want to be long-lasting is fantastic now. Let me just share my screen of the 2024 calendar so we see what's happening. Here is the new moon. And then Mercury goes into Sagittarius, where it will stay the whole November, the whole December, because it will go retrograde there, but it enters shadow period already at the beginning of November, which means that you can start seeing those Mercury retrograde topics already most of November, and you're starting some theme, and Mercury will square 3 times Saturn when it's retrograde. Once in November, you see here on the 12th, while it's still direct. Then in December, here on the 6th of December, and then another time at the end of December. So Mercury will square Saturn. This Mercury retrograde is not the easiest. It wants us to correct mistakes. So I advise you to, before it turns retrograde till the 25th of November, whatever you're doing, which is connected to passwords, to information, to writing, to speaking, to videos, back things up. Make sure your communication devices are safe, your passwords. Make sure that you double check when you're writing something, documents, papers, communications, because with Saturn square 3 times this Mercury retrograde, if you are careful, like Saturn wants you to go slow, if you double check, kind of a bit slower, but don't rush deals and whatever, double, triple check, measure 3 times, cut once type of thing, then when Mercury turns retrograde, you're not going to have those mistakes showing up, especially towards December. You're not going to have those miscommunications, but we are all humans. We make mistakes, but try to kind of safeguard your passwords and such kind of stuff this November while Mercury is still direct. Because if you miss details, because Mercury in Sagittarius is like on a horse, tuck, 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 it wants to rush, and it doesn't care about details. And Saturn says, here, you'll be slapped with a ruler if you miss details. Yes, go make big plans, exciting things. Mercury in Sagittarius can be good for promotions, for sales, for all kind of things where you excite others, to present ideas, to excite them. But very careful, double check everything, and then it will give good results. Otherwise, there'll be a lot of corrections. And thinking about it, it's election season in some countries. The whole time there might be some delays with the results because Saturn is squaring it, some revising of results here, results there. And of course, we have to be careful with Mercury square Saturn in your personal life as well, that you're not malicious, some kind of malicious information, malicious and damaging communications, misinformation that Saturn will try to correct. All right, and then we have at the beginning, pretty much here, this first whole week, Mars opposition Pluto. It's active 3-4 days before, 3-4 days after. And as you can see, the energy is, Mars is, the opposition is while it's in Cancer. And it has a bit of an explosive energy, and that's pretty much on November 3rd, 4th, 5th. So these days we have to be a bit more careful everywhere. Explosive energy, not to be manipulated, arguments, clashes, not to start up fights with police people, with people with power, because people can get aggressive, actually physically aggressive. And the opposition is kind of means you clashing with another or people clashing, and avoid dangerous situations with people. With you can slow down this and read what I've written in the calendar, or you can have the 2025 calendar. I go very much in depth in every calendar. And I'm also saying, because Mars is in Cancer, Cancer is the people, Pluto is in Capricorn, Capricorn is governments. So you see might be a clash that might be more violent there, that might be, or the people want to be heard. Mars is acting out, and Mars is in pre-shadow phase. It will come back again and oppose Pluto, this time from Leo. Towards December, but like the people, Mars in Cancer, get rebellious. This is Mars is rebellious, angry energy. They want to be heard, and they're opposing Pluto, while the governments can use Plutonian measures, manipulation or suppression, or some kind of tactics as well. So it's dangerous here a bit, but there are good aspects. There are good aspects, but if you see that people are more tense around you, the good aspect is trine or sextile from Neptune. Basically, how you get out of such tense situation is being kind, forgiving, instead of going, don't use this Mars energy. If it gets dangerous, or if it gets too intense, use the Neptunian energy, which sends a trine here. If you can see me, sends trine to Mars from Pisces, which is forgiveness, kindness, mellow, be mellow. And that's how you get out of the Mars Pluto opposition, or you mellow it out in some way. Or go drink something, or go swim, for a walk in nature. That's Neptune. Okay, then It's kind of calmer here, but the other big event, we said that Mercury and Saturn here, some mistakes can be seen, corrections might be happening. You can find out something that is not done correct or having to put extra mental efforts in something, but also there are delays, especially with results, some delays with news and so on. And then the other big event is, first of all, Saturn turns direct around 20 or at around 12 Pisces. So you can stop this to read it. The collective sigh of relief is felt when Saturn turns direct. So when Saturn is retrograde, things go slower. It's more restrictive and controlling side becomes less severe when it turns direct. And if you've been having some problem, because Saturn retrograde makes us work on problems in the house it is, we'll go through the 12 cows, through the 12 signs. Usually it starts, the problem starts untangling and things start moving ahead with less obstacles. And it's kind of people, especially if they've been working hard on something, doing it, redoing it, putting efforts. Now, when Saturn starts moving direct, they'll start seeing the results, which is positive, you know. So yeah, some solution of problems easing off. And because Saturn rules Capricorn and Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising people, they can see shift in the direction of how their things are going. Maybe easing off, not so much intensity, because Saturn requires it to be even more focused and intense when it's retrograde. When it turns direct, it's kind of less severe. And on the same day, we have a crazy full moon. This full moon is in Taurus. Okay, and you say, oh, Taurus is such a soft sign. Drink some wine, eat some lovely food, light up the fireplace. Not this full moon, not this one. This smells like teen spirit more, or insurrection, or the energy of rebellion, because this full moon, you can stop this and read it. I don't want to read it. I want to go by my heart. I wrote this a year ago. We'll see if it comes out. It's with Gorgona Medusa, the star at 25 degrees Taurus, Algol, which is a star of sometimes mass casualties, of anger, because Gorgona Medusa was angry because she was wronged, and she wants to bring wrath and destruction. That's why they consider the star a destructive star sometimes. And it's with Uranus. Uranus is the star of truth. Maybe some truth will come to the surface. Maybe that will anger people. Or sometimes, because it's an earth sign, there can be some natural disasters or shifting of the layers of the earth. And, you know, Uranus is coming back to Gorgona Medusa. It was there earlier this year in the spring and the beginning of the summer. And of course, Taurus is a sign of financial money, finances. We can be watching the markets, maybe. We can be watching something connected to food prices and anything like that. It will be interesting to see how this quite intense moon affects us. And on a personal level, though, this is like a big aha moment, some huge realization. Uranus is a planet of downloading suddenly realization. Suddenly it rules divine wisdom in its high vibration. So God can open your eyes for something. You might like have a deep realization. We'll see where it can happen, which shocks you and which really shifts your mind in some way. Very fast. Uranus is fast energy, fast developments, and sudden changes, ending, starting, completions. Full moon is about completions of something, seeing the results of something. And because it's on a well star as well, Algol is not only star of destruction and addictions, it's a star of wealth. According to ancient sources, Hermes Trismegistus, he said this is a wealth star. So it can, for some people that have been doing the hard work, it can activate the receiving of wealth of some sort, because it's full moon to get results. But otherwise, it stands energetically around the world. And on the 20th, and one last thing, okay, I'll let you watch it. I'll let you read it because it's too long and I don't want to take too much of this. It's an interactive e-calendar. We have Pluto in Aquarius moving back for the last time. It's fully done. It's not gonna return back on November the 19th. It went 2 times back and forth between Aquarius and Capricorn. And in Capricorn, it destroyed our trust in institutions and governments in the last, what is it, since 2008. And who trusts their governments? Who trusts institutions now? In Aquarius, it will show us the underbelly of, so it's kind of moving off tyrants, away with controlling governments, but now comes tyranny, probably because Pluto is tyrannical sometimes, through technocrats, through technology, through digital means, through science, but also Pluto really puts scrutiny, like all institutions were put under scrutiny and the trust in them was destroyed. The same way now Pluto in Aquarius will put under scrutiny science, technocratic and big Pluto rules like technocrats, anyone in the technological scientific spheres. This will be examined very thoroughly over the next 18 years. And when Pluto shifts from one sign to another for a last time, there can be big shakeups. The first time Pluto moved into Aquarius in 2022, for just 2-3 months, we had some of huge banks in America collapse. Now it's moving for the last time. We'll see. Last time it shifted for the last time from Sagittarius to Capricorn. We had the 2008 crash. I'm not saying the same will happen, but Aquarius is connected to markets. Aquarius rules any markets connected, social systems, to the stock markets, to the economy. It's a very economy-oriented sign. You can read here more. While I'm talking, stop it, because I speak a lot about other stuff about Pluto in Aquarius. I don't want to make this video about it, but there'll be incredible scientific discoveries starting to happen, not on 19th of November, but they're 18 years ahead. There will be definitely reduction of population because Aquarius rules population, Pluto is mortality. And when Pluto was in Leo, for example, was the baby boomers, boom of babies, boom of many, the opposite of Aquarius. Now it's in Aquarius because Aquarius is type of demographics, and so we'll see a big change in social structures, how we live, society. Last time Pluto was in Aquarius, I told you, French Revolution, American Revolution, change from kingdoms and monarchies into totally different system, calling more power to the people. Pluto is power. Aquarius is connected to the masses as well. So let's see, it will be fascinating 18 years, but so many revolutions though, insurrections, revolutions, but that's how changes happen because we like the old things. We like the ways things are usually. And the universe is saying then there's no more going back to how things were. But as well, always, because Aquarius is the most humanitarian sign, this is when human rights are raised and become of importance. The normal people get more power, the masses, the average Joe. But in the process of this, they can be met by a lot of tyranny and resistance from the other side. But let's see, and viral movements and things will start moving very fast. And of course, on the 25th, we have Mercury turning retrograde. And the whole spiel about Mercury retrograde. I don't want to do that, but try and get things done before that. But if you have completing jobs, correcting jobs during the Mercury retrograde is also very good to do. All right, so now let's start sign by sign. So very tense, exciting, energetic month. But the real zinger is 2025 and 2026. These 2 years are like mind-boggling. Wow. Okay, excited. Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising, November 2024. Aries, on the 1st of November, we have a new moon, which means the Sun and the Moon join to reset, to restart, to give new life to the 8th house, this house area in your life, which is connected to matters that are more psychological, emotional, like a psychological reset. And it can be about certain secrets, certain powerful realizations that come to you. But on a more material level, you might be interested to focus on something connected to the more mundane level of the eighth house, is mutual finances. It's a financial house. And you can start to reset somehow your finances. If you have business partnership or money invested in, I don't know, in stock or hedge funds, or money somehow tied up with others in some way, or with all your partner's finances as well, or money that comes to you from clients, you can start something new in regards to that, or breathe it in a new lease of life, so to speak. And any matters concerning insurances, inheritances, taxes as well, you might be starting something connected to that. And any new beginnings that you start will be a bit more slower moving, because Saturn is trining this eighth house. Even the psychological transformations, if you're going, or matters of intimacy and intimate connection with another. But they'll be a bit slower going, but long lasting. So new beginnings began those first 15 days of November. There is focus, there is intensity there, but there is also stability in the long term. And even if they're not new beginnings connected to this eighth house, it's a new moon. So anything you begin now will have longer lasting influence for you. The other big event is that around the first week of November, we have the Mars opposition Pluto, the first one that they'll do, because Mars will turn retrograde after that and oppose Pluto again 2 more times. And it's happening on the axis of your career and home. And only the later areas will feel it strongly. That's from the 26, 7, 8, 9 degrees, because they're opposing at the very last degrees of Capricorn and Cancer. So especially if you're 27, 28, 29 degrees Aries, this can be more tense time for you. There's a fly here on my screen. There can be some annoyances because it's a tense energy. Mars is, as we know, aggressive, frustrating planet, and Pluto is the high octave of Mars, taking it even deeper. But there might be some important decisions that you're doing regarding your career, that requires intense efforts as well. Because Mars-Pluto combination, I call it like the Iron Man combination, where you are asked to do something that requires focus, concentration, that you can do a feat of willpower of some sort. And it is connected either to your home, property, place of living, or to your career, your public responsibilities and duties. So some of you, maybe you're doing some intense cleanse at home, or cleaning up, or fixing something, or there is the possibility that something's breaking, so you need to repair it, or possibility that there is some confrontation in your home, a more stressful environment there that you're being challenged, but also the possibility to fix it and to use this superhuman willpower there. Also, Pluto is the other planet in the 10th house for you. Either you can be asked to do something that requires focus, concentration, intensity, laser-like focus with career, with work, or they can also, and some shifting, some change, because it's transformation. Mars is change, Pluto is change, both are connected to changes with your career, with your worldly duties, but also be careful about confrontations with authority figures, with bosses, with police, with people of power of some sort. Unless you're the boss and you're the one with the power, you might be taking some restructuring steps or changes of some sort, but it's about for a week, this energy. And try to be conscious and more strategic, because it will repeat in December and then again sometime in next year towards the spring. So you might open, if you're too explosive, too emotional, you might open a can of worms, as they say, and have to try and fix it after that for the next 5-6 months. But if you're more strategic, if you're more less emotional, and kind of try, and because there is help also from Neptune, trine, sextile to Pluto, trine to Mars, you can, here, it's take a breath, relax first before reacting, try to be forgiving, try to look from the eyes of unconditional love in some way, and forgiveness, definitely, mellowness, so this doesn't escalate. Or you can just instigate some important project either at your home or at your career, some important changes that will take a few months when these two aspects repeat after that. And of course, we have Saturn on the 15th turning direct in your 12th house. So if you've been struggling with some 12 houses, the houses of expenses, for example, or 12 house, if you've been struggling with that while it was retrograde, or it starts improving now, or if you've been 12 house can be connected to anything to do with foreign countries, far away places. If there was been any complications there, they start unscrewing themselves, as they say. 12th house is also your mental health, psychological well-being or unwell-being. And if you've been suffering from something, doubts, fears, paranoia sometimes, or worries, or just psychologically not being so stable or maybe more negative, this will start easing off from the middle of November. It's slowly, Saturn will turn its direction. Maybe towards December, you'll pick up and feel better and better and better psychologically, emotionally. 12th house is also house of hidden enemies. So if you've been in some private battle, or maybe discovering some secrets behind the scenes matters, again, it starts unfolding, it starts moving forward. Or if someone has been doing something unpleasant behind your back, now you can, these influences will start weakening, and you can start moving forward, so to speak. 12th house is also the house of, what else? Or if you've been working on something behind the scenes, because 12th house is house of isolation, to isolate yourself. So if you're a laboratory musician, someone who spends long time writing or whatever along, and you've been working on something, when Saturn starts moving forward, you'll start seeing the results of those efforts that are not so stagnant. And Saturn as well, a 12th house can be connected to, I just had it in my mind, it disappeared. So we said mental health. Oh yeah, any addictions, problems that are vices, self-sabotaging behaviors. If you've been making extra efforts during Saturn retrograde to curb down, to control such self-sabotaging addictive behaviors, when Saturn starts moving direct, you'd feel that you've made progress. You'd feel that it's not as difficult anymore, Or if you've been in some restricted situation, because the 12th house is the house of being boxed in, being isolated in some way. It's the house of prisons, the house of self-isolation. Then it starts again, something that is imprisoning you, starts weakening its grip on you. And of course, this might be even mental states, psychological addictions, or actual external circumstances that you felt were imprisoning you from November, the middle, but especially towards December, you'd feel turnaround and weakening of that energy. And on the 15th, we also have the full moon in your second house, full moon with Uranus. And full moons usually gives us results. Some important decisions are taken. Either something ends, or we receive results and rewards for something we've been doing. So we can see the results of our actions connected to money, finances, because it's in your second house, this full moon. There might be, even for some of you, sudden amount of money that comes unexpectedly. Uranus is part of it, and it's happening on a star of money, Algol. They can be sudden developments connected with your security, financial, with assets, with possessions, with valuables, or if you've been trying to have more stability, you've been doing the right efforts, you'd see the results now. Or if you've been doing the wrong efforts, you'd see exactly the wrong results now. But there can be some surprise or connected to money, to finances, to some such important developments, or also a shift psychologically, and realizations in regards to your values, what you consider attractive, beautiful, what you consider tasty, changing your tastes of food, how you eat, sudden breakthrough with old patterns, because something usually might end during full moon. And even you deciding suddenly to do some kind of a, for the next, starting from the middle of November, some cutting off some foods, because Uranus is this sharp energy, eliminating or having some breakthrough about patterns, how you eat, and your self-worth as well. It's not only money, it's how worthy you see yourself. And because money depends on your self-worth, basically. And of course, Mercury turns retrograde towards the end of the month on the 25th of November, but the whole month it is in your, the 19th first, Pluto moves from Capricorn into Aquarius. It will no longer square Aries. Good news, Aries, it's been squaring you since 2008, which is a challenging aspect. Anyone who is Aquarius at some point from 2008 till now had a Pluto transit. Pluto toughened you. That's the purpose of Pluto, to make you more mature, emotionally resilient. And how does one become emotionally resilient? By tough times, by times where your old self dies, everything that you thought was you. It's like a mini death transformation and rebirth again, but it's not an easy process. It psychologically can be devastating or can be very tough. And now it's leaving, and you're never going to have a Pluto square again in your life towards your sign, Aries. Of course, you might have towards another planet, but towards your sun, moon, or ascendant, no. And it's moving for the next 18 years in a supporting sign, Aquarius. So Pluto will not break you down for the next 18 years to rebuild you. It will empower you naturally without crisis. So naturally, you'd feel stronger and stronger and stronger and more powerful. Those flies for many years ahead. And Pluto enters your 11th house. It's going to transform your social circle. It's going to transform your tribe, your crowd. It can make you very influential in large groups of people. Or it can introduce you to people that are Plutonian in nature more and more for years ahead, that are deep, penetrating, powerful, or sometimes destructive, depends what aspects Pluto is doing there for you. But Pluto will make a lot of great aspects for the next 5 years. So it's more of an empowerment for you. And Pluto, through the people, through joining like-minded groups, you get more power to change the world, to change your reality, and through also reaching large groups of people. 11th house is social economic goals, your dreams and wishes. Pluto can help you fulfill with very powerful. Pluto is willpower, high willpower, and concentrated efforts to fulfill some long-term goals and dreams that doesn't only affect you, but affects more people around you, and to change somehow the world, even in society, or even to transform your gains, because this is a house of gains. And then Mercury will be moving retrograde, but the whole month of November is in Sagittarius, then the whole month of December is in Sagittarius. There'll be a big focus mentally there for many areas connected to travel, connected to faraway places, connected to learning something. You can study, you can learn. Your mind will be on higher vibration, because it's the most high vibrational house is the 9th house, where you see things from a higher perspective. So again, you can have some insights about situations that you felt stuck in, but you see them from a higher vibration, maybe an advice you can receive from another. Maybe you can have your own intuitive understanding. And it's good time for planning for the future. It's good time for traveling. When Mercury turns retrograde on the 25th, maybe if you're traveling somewhere to a place you've been before, or maybe revising some knowledge, some teachers you followed before, some studies from before, or if you're a teacher, or if you're teaching something, working extra hard during Mercury retrograde not to make mistakes. Also, papers and documents connected to legal matters, you have to be more careful, because Mercury is going to square 3 times Saturn from Sagittarius. To fill them, maybe you have to redo some papers do some work there with legal matters, papers, with a bit more cautiousness because of the Saturn square rather than rushing ahead. But you can revise also what you want to study, and you can come to a conclusion that you can find a different way, a different direction to study, or you can get in touch when Mercury goes retrograde with people from faraway places you haven't been in touch for a while. Some educational opportunities or interests that you have abandoned or thought about but didn't do can come back to you to pick them up, and so on. So this is Aries. This is for you. Now, nothing is directly affecting you except this Mars, the very last degrees of Aries. It's kind of like planets all over the place. And Venus enters your 10th house from around which month? Let me just check when exactly it enters. So it will, after the initial Mars-Pluto energy there in the 10th house, it will really be good for your career and for your public image. The rest of November, Venus enters on the 11th of November. So from the 11th of November till the end, matters connecting to authority figures, to bosses, to your own career, to your own public standing, work starts flowing, improves, gets better and better. Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Taurus, the month starts with a new moon in the sign exactly opposite you, in Scorpio. The new moon is happening at 9 degrees, so if you're Taurus, from around, I don't know, 6 degrees till 13, 12 degrees, you'd very strongly feel this, even bigger orb, I would say, even from, 4 degrees till 15, 16 degrees. You definitely feel this full moon activating you. It infuses life back. It restarts the energy, and maybe something that you started earlier, you'd have a chance to revive it or to start something totally new. And new moons are about new beginnings. And those new beginnings might be connected, might be triggered for you because of external influences. Maybe because of your partner, maybe because of another person in life, maybe because of circumstances independent of you, outside of you, which triggers you into action to change something, to start something new. Sometimes even new relationship starts, new person enters your life with the new moon in the 7th house, or there is like a reset of your existing relationships, a reset of your existing and transformation, hopefully on a high level, of existing contracts, agreements, or just new such ones appearing. And whatever, if you start some new collaboration, a new relationship or friendship with someone, because this is the house of, of other people, it will be long lasting because Saturn is making a trine. Or if you sign a contract or agreement the 1st of November, the next 15 days, because this new moon is, it's growing for 15 days ahead, and actually it defines the whole month ahead. It will have long-lasting effects for you. So maybe getting married might be good if you want it to be long-lasting, or committing more to a contract, to agreement, or taking some responsibility with a partner, something new there, or something new can happen with your partner that is for the long term. Or ask for help from others, ask for somehow the collaborations with others, partnering, and that can give you a reset. All right. But the next event is that Mars and Pluto are opposition the first week of the month. You can feel it. It's Mars and Pluto opposition in your 3rd and 9th house. Oh, it's actually trining and sextiling you, this opposition, but the very early Taurus, the first 2-3 degrees of Taurus will feel it more like a square. Because then they're almost in Leo and Pluto is almost in Aquarius. So the first 2-3 degrees of Taurus only, maybe I would say till 4, okay, to give it an orb, they can feel more tense. They can feel more triggered this month at the beginning, and then Mars moves into Aries, into Leo, where it's going to square the first 6 degrees of Taurus. Only they will be a bit challenged this month. Square of Mars that is shadow Mars before it turns retrograde. So I want the first few degrees of Taurus to be more cautious, the first 6 degrees this month. Some important developments can come to them, and they might be connected to their home, to their place of living. They can start something, but not to be impatient and to plan better, because Mars, when it turns retrograde, it requires strategic action, not to rush through things, because something they begin or do now in regards to home, to place of living, to family relationships can have long-lasting results for them, because Mars will be doing this for a few months here. And there might be some tension, especially the very early Taurus, with family members or career, or some important decision they have to take this month about family members' career. For example, they can start something important with their home, place of living, or they can start something important in their career. That will take a few months to complete, till when Mars again opposes Pluto and then again moves forward to oppose it by by April, actually. So yeah, this opposition might spark you into some important decision here, very much on the axis of home and career. But the later Tauruses, they're quite safe from this opposition. But if you notice, Tauruses, that people are being more argumentative, that people, especially a lot of you, are feeling it on the 3rd and 9th house cusps here. So maybe people fighting about their beliefs, people fighting about what is right and wrong. You should believe what I believe, whatever, being very opinionated. This is the danger of Pluto opposition Mars, this clash there, alienating others. But sometimes we need to fight for our beliefs and for what we just approach it with Neptunian energy, more forgiving, more let's forgive and forget. This is what solves the Mars-Pluto opposition. Then on the 11th, Venus enters into your 9th house, will protect you from there, will send its trine aspect, so it is good for you. You feel things will be, no matter what's happening, there is a supportive energy. It's a good time after the 11th for you maybe to travel, to go to a foreign country, to you might feel a lot of enjoyment and pleasure out of more cultural, sophisticated activities, more refined ones, art and, literature or higher knowledge of some sort. It's good for any legal matters and papers. It will go well, or any travels as well, educational activities. And then the big one that you will feel is the full moon. Full moon in Taurus. That's the biggest event for you on the 15th. Full moon in Taurus on the 15th at 25 degrees in Taurus. So especially those Tauruses in the last 10 degrees, 20 till 30, they'll really feel this full moon. And all Tauruses, usually when there is a full moon in your sign, you are more seen, you are put on the spot, you see the results of previous actions that you've done. And so if you started something earlier, half a year ago, a year and a half ago or something, now you kind of like a review and like a mirror image. Okay, is this, you see what needs to be corrected, what needs to be cut off, because Uranus is there as well. Or also you get rewarded and you complete something. You can complete something that you started before, get the rewards, because it's full moon after all, or decide to leave it or end it and you're done with it, and sudden clean ending. Because Uranus is part of this eclipse, there can be a sudden ending of some sort, but it might be for good. You might suddenly decide to end something, a lifestyle, a way of eating, a career, or this first house is everything in your life. Some aspect of yourself, some aspect of your life, to cut it out. And when Uranus cuts things out, it doesn't look back, and it's not emotional. So you can have really powerful endings, but you might feel more explosive, definitely. Uranus is there on an explosive star, Algol, and it's like Algol is the star of losing one's head. Just remember, it's more likely to lose one's head, and especially if your sun, moon, or ascendant around 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 degrees in Taurus, this eclipse, no, this full moon can turn your life around. And while I'm talking, I'm hearing explosions in the background. There is, I think there's a bomb testing facility. So that's a good, it's like a dinosaurs that's approaching. That's how I'm feeling it on Jurassic Park. But there is it's kind of synchronicities. I believe in synchronicity. I'm hearing those explosions for you. There's some big shift and change, especially for those and fulfillment as well. It's not just, oh, your life turns around, you lose everything. It's more like a big surprise, fast developments of events, and possible rewards for previous actions, ending stuff, completing them, wrapping them up, but also being on a peak. Full moon is you're the queen, you're rewarded for something or whatever, depends on your previous actions. And Saturn is turning direct in your 11th house at the same time on the 15th. You might not feel it immediately, but there is a turnaround in the energies connected to your social circle. Maybe if you were more isolated, or maybe there were some problems with maybe all the siblings is the 11th house, or friends, or in your social circle, or in some group activity, it starts getting resolved or turns around, eases off. If there were some delays in your income or gains, which is the 11th house, you start seeing it, some problems there in your income, you start seeing it start to unfold. Also, Saturn in the 11th house can indicate that you might have been working hard on some socio-economic goal, some large scale plan or goal. Usually it's a business house, business plan. It's how you connect with the audience, with followers, with clients. Maybe if you were changing and restructuring such things, how you do it, or rethinking them alternatively. If you worked hard on that, now when Saturn starts moving ahead, you can see the results, maybe more improved income, more improved relationships with networks, more improved, or maybe you've removed some people from your network in the previous months, and for some people in your social environment or clients or whatever. Saturn starts, turning around, and this thing shifts in a different direction. But it is supportive. Saturn is supportive for you. And of course, we have Pluto moving in from your 9th house for the last time ever on the 19th into your 10th house, where it will stay for the next 18 years. So Pluto wants to empower you in the next 18 years, to empower you in your career, to empower you to be seen. Pluto might indicate some of you will go into positions of high recognition, of high achievement, of more control and power. Others, their career will totally transform sometime over the next 18 years, from one direction to a different. I had Pluto in the 10th house from my son for the last 14, 15 years. And that's when I totally transformed my career, from working as a waitress to going to astrologer and getting power, becoming a boss, taking executive decisions, taking my power back. I was so afraid to be in the public, in the 10th house is in the public eye. And you work through that, and you might even have influence of some big importance. Some of you Tauruses, the early born Taurus, it's coming, the first 4 or 5 degrees in the next year. The later degrees might take them a bit more time, but you kind of confront sometimes you can be pushed into that even if you don't want it. So prepare for that. Sometimes Pluto can ask us to do things that we fear a lot, very out of a comfort zone. It's something that horrifies us. But ultimately, Pluto wants to empower. And for you, this is in your career, this is in your, and you can only do something that is extremely truthful and real for you. You cannot do something that you don't feel it in your heart with Pluto. Pluto doesn't tolerate untruths. It will expose all those things. But you might encounter some very powerful people in authority over the next years, so you can train your own inner authority as well and take control of your life. And Mercury turns retrograde in your 8th house towards the end of the month. Try and put in order taxes, insurances, inheritance matters, because you try to be more careful with them, or mutual finances, so money that you pay to others or others pay to you, or because Pluto retrograde after that square Saturn into December might mean that there's some complications. You need to file again taxes to correct something. That's my husband. He just filed them. Mercury retrograde in his 8th. Oh, he's been doing them for 9 months. 9 months since January, nonstop. Finally, sent them. Mercury in his 8th. Oh no. Well, yeah, when your wife is an astrologer, you have your horoscope done last in life. Yeah, so yeah, hopefully he was careful, because some things might be returned to be redone. You might have to rethink, rebudget something financially with your partner, how you approach the finances of your clients and their resources, how you approach that, or you might have to just some financial reevaluations there, or some finding out some secrets. 8th house, the house of intimacy, of secrets, or some clarifying conversations with another person, partner, business person, about mine, yours, how much you contribute, how much time you put, how much you do the dishes. This is the exchange of energy between to the 8th house. How much you pay, what is mine, what is yours, how much sex you want, how much, who wants to give what, who wants to do what. All right. Now, well, that's it. Okay. Taurus. Now we have Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Gemini, just to give you peace of mind, no matter what else is happening. Jupiter is in your sign, continues to be there till June 2025. There's a lot of protection there, a lot of healing as well, a lot of realization. Even if you're not seeing it, there's like guardian angel over you. But starting from the beginning of the month, we start with a new moon in your 6th house. There can be renewal of something to do with your work, with duties. Maybe you find new duties, new project, work project, something changes, something new in the environment at work, or how you're doing your work, or maybe you decide that you're gonna the office, something changes, or renewed interest, renewed efforts in that direction. And if you start anything to do with work or your profession, your duties and responsibilities in the world now, it's on the 1st of November, this full moon, but this new moon is active the whole month, because it defines the whole month. If you start something there now, it will be long lasting, because Saturn is making a trine. So it might take slower, it might develop slower, but it will give long-lasting results and stable results. Also, if you start a new workout routine regime, because 6th house is how you take care of your body, your daily routines, maybe you decide, okay, I'll make myself wake up early, or go to bed early, or take supplements, or take vitamin C, or make a smoothie every morning, or start running, anything that takes care of your health. Well, or some treatment, if you start, it will be slower going, but long effects and transformational, because it's in Scorpio, but long-term effects. And it will, yes, it will require some efforts. It's Saturn, but it will give long-lasting results. And it's a new habit. If you introduce it, will stick with you for a long time. So it's a good time for you to shift something, to start a diet, to start something health-wise, workout regime, and so on, to add in something new that you stick with it for a long time after that. No, it's not removing something yet. This is maybe towards the middle of the month with the 12th house, full moon. New moon is now first, before you start removing old habits, add in something the first 15 days of the month. Just as simple as adding a spoonful of spirulina, whatever your rocks your boat there, or 10 minutes of walk. And because Scorpio is very focused sign, in your 6th house of discipline, of self, of health, it can, and trine Saturn can have long-lasting results. Also, you might start some new plan to solve a debt in your life, because 6th house is debt of some sort. And don't rush, but if you start it now, you'll be very consistent, and maybe if you have a plan, okay, I want to get rid of the debt in 1 year, it might take longer, but you will really stick with it, because Saturn loves to end things, and it's making a trine. And if you start something for your work, or new employees, or new way of doing your work, because the sixth house is also the method, so you might start learning something about the new method of work and the organization. Again, it's very good. It will be very good for the structure of your career, for the reputation, long-lasting results. The Pluto Mars opposition is happening on the axis of your second and eighth house the first week of the month. There can be some tension about money or some expense for some of you, or values, clashing of your values with the values of another, because these are the second house is your values, eighth house is the values of others, and there might be the need to resolve something, my money, your money, my finances, my chores, your chores. And it's not only with your marriage partner, it might be someone at work that you're like peers, that it's what your responsibilities, what am I, and there might be some kind of struggle there, what you have to do, what I have to do, what I contribute, what you contribute, or my values versus your values. So be aware that there is a bit of a tension there, clash about values and opinions as well, because it's also activating your third and ninth house. They're basically in the middle of both the second and eighth and third and ninth, your opinions and so on. Maybe traveling a bit more careful there, but otherwise, nothing serious. And Venus enters your eighth house. So it will smooth out from the 11th of November, financial matters, the eighth house, or some power struggles, if there are any, and so on. And intimacy can improve when Venus is there as well. Or you can receive help and support from another asking, it will be given. Venus gives easily support, whether financial, whether psychological, emotional, or with the other person's skills, resources, somehow you can receive that external support. Then the other big event is that Saturn turns direct in your 10th house at 12 degrees Pisces. So the whole month it stays around 12, 13 degrees. I would say anyone who is 11, 12, 13 degrees of Gemini, 11, 12, 13, even into 14, will feel a big, big Saturn staying there, those 12 degrees. The whole month is only there. The pressure of Saturn will be felt on those degrees. You'll be required to put extra efforts, extra resilience there. It might feel overwhelming, the intensity of Saturn, because Saturn is like pressure on you. Pressure, it might be a pressure from authority, from a boss, from a father figure, or from your own authority on some task. It might be something that's been stagnant and blocked in connection with your career, in connection with your worldly status, or if you've been working, it starts solving, it starts unblocking, but towards the end of the month, you'll probably feel it more. Saturn starts changing direction on the 15th, but it stays on the same degree till the end of the month. So slowly, some complicated situation, either connected to your career, your work, restructuring, some duties and responsibilities, or authority figures and institutions, they start solving, they start easing off, they start untangling. Or if you've been working something, and that's for all Geminis, because Saturn is in the 10th house. If you've been having some delays with career, or with, or if you've been working extra hard on something, and extra, which is connected with organization, taking important executive decisions, or decisions, responsible decisions, or connected with, as I said, maybe working to restructure your career, it starts shifting. So a big shift, but gradually and slowly you see or blockage of the way it's removed, or you start seeing the rewards and the results of previous actions that you put. And if it was delayed, it starts moving slowly. Maybe in December, you'll feel it more, how things are picking up there, starting to move in the direction you want. And some tension there disappears, as I said, either with authority figures or with some responsibility, that you start seeing the results of it and moving forward with it. On the same day, there is full moon on the 15th of November, full moon in Taurus in your 12th house. Oh, it's not directly affecting you unless you have planets in Taurus around 25 degrees, but your subconscious might be shaken up a bit because it's here in the house of the feelings, the subconscious, your dreams. You might have some very vivid dreams. The eclipses with Uranus, exactly. They might be prophetic even, because Uranus is the planet of the future, or there might be some intuitions, not just dreams, but some intuitions that are prophetic, some powerful insights and downloads about something for the future, or realization psychologically about something from the past, because 12th house is the house of past life, past, where we store past forgotten memories as well, and releasing that. And because the eclipse is happening on a traumatic star, which is called Algol, she had Gorgona Medusa. She went through trauma. She was raped. She was turned into a monster. I mean, so some trauma, there can be a shaking up of some trauma, realization about it, traumatic memory, or even lack of memory that comes to the surface for you, some event that traumatized you in some way, that hurt you, that you are able to like jump over suddenly with Uranus energy because of a sudden realization, because of a sudden shift of consciousness, actually on a deep level of subconsciousness, where it's stored, and break through that and end it. This full moon eclipse in the 12th can also mean some endings, because 12th house is house of endings. Full moon eclipse is also completing something, maybe completing something, seeing the results of it. Again, here, similar to Saturn in the 10th house. Deciding to suddenly cut it off and let it go. And as I told you, the first 15 days is good to pick up new habits. The last 15 days after that is good to let go of self-sabotaging habits, addictions, behaviors that are not good for you. Maybe some of you might decide to cut off social media. I don't know, something Uranian in nature, or cut off suddenly sugar or drink or whatever. This full moon can really make a clean cut with the past, because it's very sudden, it's Uranian, it's with a brutal, unforgiving star, and it's a star of addictions, Algol, in the house of addiction. So for some of you, you can really cut off such things now, November, the second part. Also, it's a house of expenses, 12th house. There can be some expenses, I don't know, just so you know, for something unexpectedly. And also is the house of far away, foreign travel. I don't know, maybe some of you might have a sudden spontaneous or very excitable, because it's Uranus, something very exciting and so on. Yeah, and then the biggest other event is that Pluto is moving on the 19th into Aquarius, and for the next 18 years it will trine Geminis. Actually, just those Geminis that are the first 4 degrees will feel it in the next 12 months, because Pluto only gets to 4 degrees till the end of 2025, in the next 1 year. But it's such empowerment. Pluto will lift you up without crisis, will empower, will give you strength without shocks, without its rapey nature. It's in a very wonderful way that it happens. Some of you might be called for educational mission in life over the next 18 years, Pluto in the 9th house. Others might be called for very humanitarian, to transform society with high ideals and new vision for the world. The 9th house rules the new vision, to bring in the future in some way for the world. Others might be called in to teach, to coach. 9th house rules those things. Others might be called into even things that are ideological, politics, or others might be called into sometimes over the next 18 years into high academics, high knowledge, teaching, coaching, higher knowledge, university degrees. Pluto will really support such things. And or foreign places in some way. And Pluto will stay there and will transform your own beliefs of what reality is. It will show you some of the dirty side as well, but it's only so you have the truth there and you have the higher perspective. rather than rose-colored glasses. But it will empower you with trines for the next 18 years. And Gemini, maybe you feel this the most because it's directly affecting you. It's Mercury. The whole month is in your 7th house. And towards the end, Jupiter also enters the 7th house. Sorry, the sun. So you'll notice that more and more your focus goes towards relationships with others. And because you're Mercury, whatever Mercury is, for 2 months, the whole November, the whole December, even into January, it will stay in your 7th house. Somehow your actions are very much dependent on others, or you take into consideration others, or you're doing something with another in combination, in partnership. So you're focused on relationships. And you better be right and correct in your relationships, as honest as possible, because Saturn is squaring this Mercury a few times when it goes when it's direct, when it's retrograde, and when it's direct again. So it means that, be as legally, and 7th house is contracts, agreements as well. If you have to sign any contracts and agreements, try and do it if it's a new contract or agreement before the 25th of November, signing papers, whatever, because after that, there might be the need of some corrections, that it's not what it seems, or it's extra conditions, but if you're re-signing a contract, doing after 25th, because then it will be, Saturn will make you to redo it better. But there might be some clarifying conversations as well about in a relationship with a personal or business partner or client, something that was missed towards the end of the month will have to be corrected, or things that was unsaid will come to the surface to be addressed. And especially Gemini's data from 6 till 22 degrees, I think, 6 till 22 degrees in Gemini, yeah, they will feel the Mercury retrograde the most. And on another level, it can mean that from the end of November, you're meeting people that you haven't seen for a while. They might be friends or whatever. It doesn't mean to be crisis in your relationships. You're rethinking, but you might rethink certain connections in your life, certain affiliations with others. You might have to make some important decision with your partner, or if there is no agreement from the other side and desire for balance and renegotiation, you might even end up certain business or personal relationships and rethink them. But if you rethink them and you Saturn requires you with Mercury to be more realistic about them, to put some clear-cut conditions rather than ambiguous, clear-cut things, what you have to do, what I have to do, what we want, then this Mercury retrograde by the end of December, or by the middle of December, you can feel much improved relationships with clients, with personal partners, and so on. But yeah, there might be some unsaid things that need to be said, that come back to be discussed, important decisions. And if you have some important mercurial work to do, which is especially if it concerns others as well, if you're not only doing it alone, but also alone, try to, wrap it up by the 25th, but it might require some corrections. And mercurial work is writing, speaking, media work, administrative work, business work, communication, correspondence, papers, documents. But otherwise, they might require some revisiting and redealing with. That's more towards December already. So try to cross the T's and dot the I's, Gemini. All right. Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Cancer, the month starts with a new moon in your 5th house. Beautiful, supportive. On the 1st of November, you might be inspired, get like a new idea. The 5th house is where we connect with God and download original thoughts, ideas, So you might become more creative. You might get a new idea for something that inspires you, get you flowing, excited. You might get an idea for a new business. You might get anything that you grow or create from nothing to something. It might be a baby, it might be a business, it might be a some creation, a painting, a drawing, you know. And if you start anything like that now, it will be long lasting because this this new moon eclipse is trine Saturn, and it's trine you. So it's very supportive energy at the beginning of the month. And also there can be a renewal of an existing romantic relationship, or renewal of your interest in fun activities, maybe being invited to celebrations, to more joy, more parties, having fun, whatever, finding a new way, new hobby to enjoy and entertain yourself. And yeah, this where you're put in a center stage, or having a new, if you're an actor, a new role appear, or new something where where you express yourself and your talents. And of course, it will be long lasting because of Saturn. Or if you start a romantic relationship over the next 15 days, from 1st to 15th, very likely to be longer lasting because of the trine to Saturn. And more transformational, it's Scorpio. Then the first 7 days, Pluto is opposite Mars in your sign, the very last degree. So Cancers that are born maybe 27, 28, 29 degrees in Cancer, the beginning of only them. The others, so I don't see so much, but yeah, even for the others, I'd have to warn you to be careful about confrontations with others. First house, seventh house, power struggles there, others pressing on your toes, feeling the tension. Even if you're earlier Cancers, you'd feel the tension in the air the first month, the first 4 or 5 days, 6 days of Pluto opposition Mars, not to mention his elections days. Then people tend to clash. But even you and your partner, to be careful, you and clients. But that's just the first few days. And only the very last Cancer degrees, they have to be more cautious, even for accidents. Like if you're 27, 28, 29 degrees of Cancer, the others are out of the danger zones, the earlier Cancers. While those later ones, yes, it's tense. You have to be careful what actions you take now. Because they might have long-lasting effects, because Pluto and Saturn and Mars will go retrograde Mars, and that can drag out till some time, a few months. But also it can mean that you get activated into some thing that requires a lot of your willpower. Saturn and Mars and Pluto are planets of willpower. And that will require some new endeavor that you start, that will require concentrated efforts and focus and willpower, Cancers, for you. That will take a few months to complete. And you might be even triggered into this action, new beginning, through another person somehow, the opposition to Pluto. Sorry. I hope I don't swallow a fly. But Venus enters your 7th house from the 11th of November, and will stay there till the end of the month. So it will really improve your relationships, and it will really bring more your partner becoming happier, pleasant, you becoming nice and pleasant to others. The clients you interact with will be nice, in a good mood. You can attract more popularity, more viewers, more clients, more sales. You can even go on romantic or feel more connected romantically with your partner after the 14th of November till sometime in December, till Venus is in Capricorn. And this new moon here in the 5th house, that can have a romantic restart for some of you. You see, maybe that's, and more fun as well this month for you. But Venus really starts smoothing here relationships after that, and you can receive help from others. You can be accepted by others in a positive way if you present something for them, not in a critical way. And more pleasures in life start coming in after the 11th. Then you have full moon on the 15th. Full moon with Uranus in your 11th house. That can be some surprise comes through you, through others, through what's happening in society, can surprise you, shock you in the world, but also through friends. Friends there can sudden reversal, sudden change with a friendship, even some completion, or taking a friendship to the next level, a surprise. Someone is like, it's a surprise, haven't seen you. But also it's the house of gains and dreams and wishes. They can be the completion of something you've been working on, long-term goal or dream. You've been working completion of a phase of it, or the whole project, or if you've been working to have more gains financially, you might see the results of such actions now, or been chasing some dream or goal, some title, or recognition of sort, because 11th house rules all of those things. You might be completing and presenting it to the public and to the audience then. And with the Uranus energy on a star of wealth, there can be some, sudden, if you present a project going viral, or sudden, very fast, developments, or 11th house is also your client. So something important there can happen with this 11 friends as well, as I said. But because it's on a star Algol, which is not only a star of money, but a star of one losing one's head, be careful of tensions with friends or with like-minded people online or in person, that something can escalate, being extra reactive in some way. And Saturn is turning direct Cancer at the same time on the 15th in your 9th house. So if there have been some delays with legal matters, with educational matters, some complications, or with father or teacher figures, they start unsolving, they start moving forward. Pluto is trining any Cancer around the 11, 12, 13 degree the whole month, very stabilizing energy, but with extra responsibility there. So 11, 12, 13 degrees Cancer feel trine of Saturn the whole month, stabilizing your life, some area of your life, your career, if it's the sun, the ascendant, maybe your relationships get stabilized, your will, your discipline is stabilized, and also life, the direction of your life starts turning more optimistic a bit, because 9th house is your belief system, your outlook on life, and Saturn has been there retrograde, and it starts turning direct. So if you had some existential crisis or doubts about the direction of your future, doubts about what should I do, doubts about, or even if you've been dealing with some moral dilemma. Moral dilemma, I cannot tell you what it is, but specifically something that you have to take decision whether it's right or wrong, fighting it within you, if you're doing something wrong or right. And now things start unfolding and start easing this tension, this psychological external tension, and it starts improving. Or if you've been having some issues or working on something, papers for foreign residence or visas, or which is the 9th house, foreign countries, and you've had delays or complications, so you've put extra work, now you start probably from the end of November more, start seeing results there. Maybe you start becoming more clear now, what is the direction educationally, professionally for you, because the 9th house is the house of seeing the big picture. And also some, if you've had an existential crisis, who am I, what is right, what is wrong, what is my belief system, or doubting something. If you had like sometimes Saturn in the 9th house, retrograde can make us really re-examine our belief systems of reality, of who we trusted, of who we admired, of who we respected, of who we followed. And when Saturn starts turning direct, you start, well, retrograde, maybe you did the re-examination, and when it starts turning direct, you move forward as well from those, existential reality questions, and you start finding answers there. And maybe some wise older person or someone with more experience can give you a very good advice this month. While Saturn is shifting signs there, advice for your life, like a mentor figure, a teacher figure, that can be pivotal, play some pivotal role in your life. Or if you had complications in the relationship with a father figure as well, it starts moving and turning direct. Teaching project can start moving direct, or legal matters problems, if they've been laws, legal matters can, again, if there was some difficulties, they start improving. And on the 19th, Pluto moves away from opposition with Cancer for the last time ever, to never oppose you, Cancer, again in your life. Only in 240 years from now, it will be back in your 7th house when you're reborn, probably as Capricorn or something else. So a long time till then. But Pluto moves from your 7th house, stops the emotional toughening for you. You've been emotionally matured enough now to be resilient. Now Pluto moves into your 8th house, where it's not directly affecting you anymore. So you're not going to feel direct Plutonian energies. Pluto is there for 18 years. I cannot ask you to expect anything specific on the 19th, but you'll see more intensity and focus on financial matters, more on relationships will stop being so testing anymore, Pluto there, and you would feel like lightening of the energy when it comes to relationships, interpersonal relationships, and Venus is in your 7th house, taking care of starting healing already. It's just for a month there, but improving, maybe romantically something happens. And you become very deep. Maybe you can have big achievements and realizations in spheres of 8th house matter, psychology, astrology, deep realizations, deep cleaning of the astral body for many years ahead. But this is kind of a very hidden process, so don't expect it to be. Some people do it consciously, but for others it's more like a background happening on its own energy, and delving into very deep topics with Pluto there. Okay, and then Mercury goes retrograde on the 25th in your 6th house, but it stays the whole November in your 6th house and the whole December. So wrapping up some work that is not completed, some errands, some tasks you have to do. Mercury is good in the 6th house because it's likes details, but in Sagittarius, not so much. So maybe do some house cleaning, some reorganizing of your office, finish some work, some duties, responsibilities. Might be busy time for that in November. And December, there is a lot of more mundane practical tasks to be done. And if you've missed some, Saturn will correct it with its square later on when Mercury turns retrograde. There might be some jobs that you have to redo a few times that you haven't done, or Mercury is telling you here, pay attention to your health a bit more and rethink your health. If you have especially some habits and or dietary or whatever, or postural habits, or Mercury there in the 6th house will ask you to, especially when it starts turning retrograde, to look at them from an alternative perspective, maybe get a second diagnosis if it's a health issue when it's retrograde, not first one. They might be wrong. But see a health problem from a different perspective, find an alternative method for healing, or find a different remedy for it, or look at some existing health habits from a different way and rethink them. Do them, but also it can, and you can do that, especially into December, into December, and by the end of December, you can have some kind of a revised health plan and habits plan. And of course, 6th house can be also your colleagues and the environment at work. There might be some situations under pressure, deadline with Saturn squaring it that you have to resolve, or that requires more of your efforts, concentration, mental efforts. Yeah, what else is the 6th house? Pets. I don't know, something connected to pets. Many people, many cancers have pets. That your attention is there, and you have to deal with that November, December as well. And of course, this is your schedules, your plans. If you have your plans, I wake up at this time, I do this, I do that. Mercury goes retrograde. Tough luck sticking with those plans. Something throws a wrench in your plans, but it's okay because maybe you can do things a bit, shake it up, with the and or maybe correct somehow the schedules. So try, if you have important meetings, try to do them connected to work and practical matters. Try to do them by the 25th. Otherwise, after that, it's corrective work. What you missed to do before, what you didn't do right with work and so on, maybe some delays there. Or it can be a good time to work behind the scenes on with Mercury retrograde on finishing some project, correcting it, bringing up an old work project that comes to you to revive it, an old job opportunity coming back to you, or an old project that you thought about but you didn't complete coming back so you can work on it again. And correcting some mistakes. Sixth house is the house of finding mistakes anyway. Mercury retrograde wants to do exactly that. And with Saturn, mistakes, fixing something around the house or whatever is not working well, making it more organized, more practical. Okay, Cancer, that's for you. Your sun, moon, or rising. The month starts with the new moon renewal in your fourth house of family, family affairs, personal, private life. There might be more focus on such topics this month for you. You might be interested in redoing something in your home or just spending more time with family, or maybe family might needs more attention from you. With parents, with your own parenthood responsibilities around your house, with close people as well. And if you're starting any new endeavor together with your family or new decision connected to your home, property, or your personal life, it will be long lasting. It might take a bit longer to unfold, but Saturn is trying this new moon eclipse. It will be long lasting changes or anything new that's happening there for you. And productive as well. Then the other event is that Mars is opposing Pluto, and it's pretty much happening at the very first degrees of Leo will feel it. This whole month, the first 7 days are more intense. They're very early Leos. So 0, 1, 2, 3 degrees can feel the tension more intensely the first week, where there can be confrontation with others, power struggles, other pressing your buttons. The later Leos, not so much. They can still feel the tension in the air around that time, and some important decisions or something that requires more of your willpower has to be done, concentrated focus in some way, or as I said, tensions. But Mars is entering Leo now in November. I think already on the 4th of November, it's entering it, where it's moving in its shadow, meaning that it will turn retrograde. And it's only those first 6, 7 degrees of Leo that will feel Mars retrograde this year and next year, because it continues into next year. But it's, yeah, so those first, let's say 7 degrees, maybe give it an orb at 8 degrees of Leos, 0 to 8 degrees sun, moon. But I would say also, because it's in your sign, Leo, other Leos as well, Mars being there, you can, again, some important developments can happen in November for you, which are connected with you starting something, with some of your personal initiative. If it's your ascendant in Leo, it's more to do with your health, with your overall direction in life that requires you to mobilize your energy, that requires you to put extra efforts, concentration, that requires you to be more cautious with your moving ahead, and not to start arguments, conflicts, if possible, because when Mars turns retrograde at the beginning of December, you can this can drag out for a few months, basically. And it can be a good time to take up some exercise, to take up some physical movement, to take up some project that requires, as I said, more focus and concentration, that requires you to gather your willpower into some direction, because you can move mountains with Mars staying for, going there, turning direction, changing direction. That's something that you can change your life, especially the first 7, 8 degrees, as I said, of Leo. And you feel more force, more energy into you, but Mars is moving very slowly. It's very concentrated energy. So you shouldn't move too fast ahead, slower, but with focus, undivided attention towards something. But of course, those first 7-8 degrees can feel more triggered, activated as well, because Mars also rules your 7th house, your 4th house, family, home, something connected, some endeavor. Again, we see the same theme connected to that. Hopefully not arguments, but something that you'll be rearranging there with your own personal focus for the next few months. And Mars also rules your 9th house. It might be some endeavor educational that you're starting. Maybe that's why listen to my 2025 video horoscopes that are out to see, because 9th house also rules how you're planning your future. And Mars can require you to do some important strategic replanning over the next 2 months, November and December, about your goals, your future, about educational purposes, and even some might be even connected to foreign countries and residence. 9th house is foreign country residence, or travels of some sort, or some legal matters that become a source of focus for you, that you have to deal with, some battle to win there, either educational or domestic or so on. Yes, so yeah, a little bit more cautious those first early degrees, but still a lot of power comes to you, activation. Also, Saturn on the 15th is turning direct in your 8th house, Leos. So if you've had some complications and delays connected to money, to finances, to resources, it's one of the financial houses, especially finances that come to you through others. It might be an alimony, it might be clients' money, or it might be your partner's money, your mutual finances with a marriage or business partner, or if there were some delays and complications with wills, with insurances, inheritances, or taxes as well. If there was some challenge there or some delays, it starts unfolding after the 15th. It starts untangling. The pressure starts easing off. You start seeing the results of efforts you've made there and things moving forward, and not being as heavy, so to speak. A shift there. Also psychologically, 8th house, when Saturn is retrograde there, can feel very tense sometimes, and even sometimes without an external reason, because Saturn is like a pressure cooker when it's retrograde, and doing some intense cleaning of the subconscious traumas, pains. The 8th house rules where we store the pains, the trauma, the unprocessed feelings from the past. And there might have been a lot of looking back at the past, thinking of traumas, of losses through death or through some other crisis in life, and trying to make sense of them, and might have felt more psychologically heavy for you. If for some reason it felt more psychologically heavy, sometimes even without a reason, you're processing something. Now Saturn starts moving direct. Maybe towards the end of November, you start feeling more light psychologically, because there was Saturn purified under the retrograde movement. A lot of those things, those heavy feelings, they were pressing on you, and now they start, being released and moving forward. Also, if there was some complications about my money, your money, how much you contribute, how much I contribute, or Saturn starting to move direct, such issues will start getting resolved. Or if you've been working hard on some project the previous months about, as I said, insurance, inheritance, or taxes, or other people's money, or clients' money, or issues of alimonies, whatever, or investments of some sorts. Now you start seeing the results of those extra efforts, and things start becoming easier and just more flowing, rather than requiring it, to keep grinding there. Also, if there were some issues with intimacy or blockages with intimacy, 8th house is one of those houses where we can receive from others, open ourselves to others or the universe, to receive from the universe, from others. If you had some blockages in that, and that sex is also receiving from another, and when Saturn is retrograde there, you can be more like clenched, or sometimes, who knows, even frigid, or sometimes just more closed and untrusting, or more closed towards feeling that you deserve to receive from others. more or maybe external circumstances made it harder for you to receive from others. So for your husband or wife, financial situation might have been more complicated, and Saturn starts turning direct, and it's still in your eighth house and almost one more year. There's still some things to be done there, but it's not going to be as intense anymore. It's going to be like the pressure cooker is releasing the steam now, and there's a change around in such circumstances, in the direction of such circumstances. So maybe you were in a legal battle and you're expecting money, or expecting a mortgage, or expecting some financial or resources from another place. And it hasn't been moving too much. Now Saturn turns direct. There'll be a change in direction with those circumstances. And as I said, maybe some resolutions of psychological issue and painful feelings as well can start moving ahead. Good. And then on the same day that Saturn starts turning direct, but it turns direct for 2 weeks. It's so slow, it stays on the same degree. Some deep realizations, psychological, about intimacy, some secrets. If something was hidden from you, they can come to the surface as well. They can be more easier to forgive if you've been wronged. If your trust, because eighth house is very much about trust, learning, being open, something can shift there as well. And on the same day, there is a full moon in Taurus, conjunct Uranus in your 10th house, and especially around the 25th degree. So if you're Leo, that's me, moon in 24 degrees. Leo from around 20 to 30 degrees, sun, moon, or ascendant, this full moon intensely activates you, because it's happening right at around 24, 25 degrees in your 10th house. There can be some important development in your career from around the 15th, and after that, some completion, some conclusion, some reward there. If you've been working hard on, some project, a career project or something, you can see the results now. And it can be sudden, and they can be sudden promotion for some of you, or sudden ending of a job or career direction, or sudden ending of some worldly responsibility, or completing it and seeing the results. But you're seeing the fullness of the moon is the most you can get, and you see, are you happy with those results, or there is some important deal can break through. For example, I just had a friend, there is a full moon now in Aries, and my Cancer friends who were before you, 2 of them called me and said, I'm expecting a very important deal today to close. I said, it's full moon in your 10th house. It's going to happen. And then the other one called and says, I want to quit my job now. And should I wait? And I said, it's full moon in Aries. You'll quit it today. So, in your 10th house. So some important decisions there, either rewards or endings or completions connected to career. And they can be very sudden. It's Uranus. Or something that happens through your career or whatever suddenly, and it's on a star of wealth. So some of it can be rewarding financially, but it's about losing one's head. That star Algol. So some of you might kind of feel they're losing their head with something connected with bosses, authority figures, public or authority figures, bosses, institutions. Or if you're your own boss, or if you've been working hard, as I said, you can be really in the public spotlight with a lot of visibility and a lot of social influence. Uranus here, you can be somehow, something that you're more visible, that you're more up there. The full moon is right in your 10th house of recognition, of being seen, of your authority, executive decisions. All right. And on the 19th, Pluto is leaving your 6th house, where it's been since 2008, and will never come back again, but it will start opposing you for the next 18 years. And in the next 12 months, only the first 4 degrees of Leo will feel this Pluto, because Pluto only gets to 4 degrees Aquarius in the next 12 months. So it moves so slowly. The others might have another 17 years, the later Pluto still till they feel it. The later degrees, the later they'll feel it. But it's saying that Pluto for the next 18 years will transform your relationship. So you will be transformed because it's looking at you from the 7th because of very powerful individuals that enter your life, because of very powerful partners, or and there's something usually very karmic there, something very intense and sexually attractive if it's a new person that enters your life, or but there'll be someone that there's such strong astral connection, almost obsessive, that it breaks through all your defense system and makes you transform in some way, and your old self dies. I had a friend who was Cancer when Pluto exactly entered the 7th house and she's early Cancer. So when Pluto entered, she met a very powerful man, and they married. They've been married for those since 2008. Since they met around 2009. And they've been married for the whole duration of Pluto in her 7th house from the Sun. And he's been very powerful, but some very tough lessons sometimes with Pluto about power struggles, manipulation, till she said both of us became pure, because, ultimately Pluto wants to purify us to be our most egoless and with other people, or most to stay in our power without games and manipulations, to be authentic. And it's been very transformative. It doesn't mean you all divorce, break up when Pluto is in your 7th house if you're Leo, but there'll be some intense experience that comes to you through others that transforms you in a powerful way. And a partner can empower you as well, can tear you down and empower you. I don't know which side. Sometimes they do both. Sometimes a few people will do both. But also it can call your attention for years ahead into 7th house affairs, which is trading, which is sales, clients, business, becoming public in some way. And you notice that for years ahead, others have very strong reactions towards you. They'll either love you or hate you. They'll either put you on a pedestal or they'll tear you down. And you're already a strong person. When you have Leo, you're powerful. Now Pluto will clash you with some other powerful people, so you can stand your ground and get empowered even more. But fascinating, but you're not going to feel it on the 19th of November unless you're 0 degrees Leo, rising sun or moon. And of course, you have to be more cautious with Pluto, some crisis situation that meant to tear down your ego and to rebuild you brand new. You have to be careful with health as well, and so on. But I have so many friends, they've gone through Pluto opposition. They all come new people, transformed, but much more stronger, much more self-reliant, much more empowered. But the process itself of decomposing the old self, it can be interesting. My mom is 0 Leo sun. She's been going through it. She's been having more power struggles with my dad, and my dad is like, oh. And I told you it's opposing Mars, especially those early degrees. My dad said, and he's Leo too, your mom is arguing and shouting all the time. And I'm saying she's trying to finally learn to take her power from you. Pluto going towards her 7th house. So you're resisting bullies in a sense. Anyway, but that's for many, many years ahead. Now, the other big event is that Mercury is going to turn retrograde in your 5th house towards the 25th of November. For some of you Leos, it can mean getting in touch with people from the past, and some even old boyfriends, girlfriends, they can hear from them romantically towards the end of November into December. But otherwise, Mercury is staying the whole November in your 5th house, the whole December in your 5th house. Mercury usually stays 10 days in a house. It zooms quickly through there, but Mercury staying for a couple of months. There is a lot of focus on, if you have children, on your children. Towards the end of the month, they can go through some changes and some renegotiating of the relationships and the rules, or their schedules can change. Or also, these are your Fifth house is your romantic partners, if you have such, or your marriage partner as well, the romantic side, the heart connection side to it. Not the my responsibilities, your responsibilities side of it, more like your how do we stay in love and feel in love. And Mercury there asks you to have some heart-to-heart conversations when it is to pay more attention to this side, to speak about romantically, somehow connect, to have clarifying conversations. And they might be, yes, if romantically the partner you're with is not committed or is not fair play, Mercury retrograde can bring those issues to the surface to be discussed, or can even deepen your connection there. And Saturn, as we said, is starting to turn direct in your eighth house of intimacy. So some important developments can be there. Fifth house is also the house of having fun, entertainment, enjoyment. So yes, you have some of that as well. And creative endeavors. If you're working on some project using your mind, especially that is your own baby, it might be a painting, might be using your skills, Mercury skills and mind and intelligence. It might be a poem, it might be a book, it might be a article, it might be a website, it might be a business. If it's your own business that you have or work where you have creative output, where you can not only drawing in a sense, but creative output, like where you can take independent decisions and introduce something totally new that comes out of your ideas, then Mercury there can mean that you'll be working quite intensely on that, using those skills. Maybe when it turns retrograde, maybe revising some ideas and creative or business, if it's your own business, things, redoing them, getting back to an old creative idea or creative hobby that you've had. Now the winter hours are coming. I'm going to pick up puzzling again. I'm Leo moon, so Mercury retrograde. Going to start knitting again, doing puzzles again, drawing again. So coming back to such things. So coming back, good times is the fifth house, going and having holidays or visiting places that you like, that you've been to before, reconnecting heart to heart with people that you feel heart to heart to, that you haven't seen in a while as well. It's not necessarily boyfriends, girlfriends. And kind of festivity celebrations is also the fifth house, having fun, playing games. But also Mercury retrograde will ask you to rethink how you have fun, how you enjoy yourself. Is there another way to do it? More balanced way, because Mercury is a very balanced planet. But yeah, you might be working and doing some project, as I said, but Mercury retrograde is helping you because it's trining you, Leo. So if you're from 6 to 22, 3, 4 degrees Leo, Mercury sending trine, you can get a lot of good job done, Mercurial, try and wrap up stuff. After 25th of November, it's more things that you haven't finished that you're doing, that you're redoing, that you're reorganizing business-wise, communications, and so on. But this Mercury retrograde is mostly positive for you. Despite of the square to Saturn, there might be some expenses for children, parties, celebrations. Of course, that's normal. And yeah, some corrective activities and clarifying conversations with loved ones or towards a creative project you're working on, because Saturn wants to correct things, and so does Mercury retrograde. Okay, Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Rising. The month starts with a new moon in your third house. There might be on the 1st of November, there might be an increased flow of information. You find out some piece of information, some documents, some papers, so just maybe some correspondence you have to do, or maybe some short trip that transpires over the next 15 days. More people connecting to you, talking, or renewal of existing projects that are about writing, speaking, administrative work. It's like your mind will be more busy there with learning, reading. You might be more interested in news, what's happening, because third house is like, wow, I'm curious around the world around me, what's happening. Some new contacts can appear for you, some new communications with others. new phone some of you might buy, or new laptop, or make a new social media account. And if you're starting any business activities, because it's a business house of connecting with others in some way, whether it's marketing, advertising, writing articles, products, whatever, contacting newsletters, if or business meetings of any sort is third house. If you're starting anything third house like that, it will be long lasting because Saturn is trine. Might be slower developing, but long lasting. So yeah, if you want to buy a more durable transportation device, communication device, do it this new moon after the first, when Saturn is trining this new moon, so it will be more durable for you. Or maybe some trips, short trips can appear for you, or maybe some new collaboration or kind of a contact. This can be longer lasting ones, or if you're starting, like, let's say, a blog or a vlog, third house rules all such things, or some sales, or some educational project to learn something good, because you stick with it. Saturn is trine. It will be longer term. And if you want to study with me, not study, but get some really good information that will help you for a long time, check out my 2025 video horoscopes, because these videos for 2025, you can use it till 2039, because there's information there till then. It's a really long-lasting source of information. You might be starting some new schedules and whatever. Some new acquaintances can appear, or contacts for you. Right. Then we have the Pluto opposition Mars. Well, it's in your 11th, 5th house. The first week, it might be felt more tension between friends, possible socially, loved ones and friends. There's some kind of maybe power struggle. Should I spend time with children or with friends, or should I focus on my hobbies or on my worldly kind of what's happening with the world, or with my social activities? But nothing, it's making good aspects to you, so nothing big deal so much for you. On the 15th, Saturn is turning direct. Now, this directly affects you because Saturn is exactly opposite Virgo and on the 12th degree of Pisces. So if you're 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 degrees Virgo, those middle degrees, you'll feel so strongly, and you are under more pressure because Saturn stays at this 12th degree the whole November. It's turning direct on the 15th, but it moves so slowly that it stays on the same degree. So there is this huge pressure on those middle degrees, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, that they're feeling it, but also a big shift starting to happen in their life. They'll feel it the most intensely, maybe the last pressure and push on some responsibility, on some duty, on some complicated situation in their life, on some stuck situation that's not moving, that is being solved after the 15th. And I'm talking now about all Virgos, not just those middle degrees. Any complications in your relationships, or in some contract, or some delay in agreements with another, some problem in the life of your spouse or business partner or other close person, or any kind of difficulty in your relationships with others, and distance, or testing of your relationships, or of a commitment of some sort, or of a contract, it starts turning around. It starts shifting in a different direction. 7th house can be also opponents in a court case or whatever, or so also this starts shifting around. It starts easing off. If someone's been causing you problems, or if someone's been busting your balls, you'd see easing. Maybe you'd feel it more towards November and towards December, but already from the middle, the wind starts shifting, and things become easier when it comes to relationships. Some lesson is learned, or agreements or contracts. So if you're working on a project that depends not just on you, but with another person, or more than another person, somehow there is others involved, and it's been stagnant or complex or stalemate, again, it starts turning, or you start seeing the results. So if you've been working hard on some project with your partner, someone else, you start seeing the results now more and more towards December, January, February, because Saturn will be moving direct. It doesn't fully solve all your relationship problems. Saturn stays for another year there. But, there is definitely easing of that pressure cooker of Saturn, and, easing generally on Virgos, because Saturn is opposite you. While it was retrograde, it just felt much more intense, much more, and Saturn's energy is heavy, Saturn's energy is demanding, it's restrictive, and some of those restrictions start falling off, some of those demands, some of those, and maybe now you start seeing a job well done, the results of it, or if you persevered enough not to cut something out of your life, or, you can start moving ahead now, it will start moving. Or if you had to cut off a relationship from your life, of clients, of other people, of partner, you start moving ahead now. Okay, you're not stuck there or in pain for something. And on the same day, we have on the 15th full moon in your 9th house. This is a very nice moon for you. It's trining you, Virgos that are around 20 to 30 degrees, especially 25 degrees Virgo. It trines them fully. It's in a lucky 9th house, some lucky developments, being at the right place at the right time. It's for them, the 15th, it's positive, and the days around the 15th and the next week after that, it can be for some Virgos that it's a trip to faraway place this full moon brings. Unexpected, there is Uranus there, or that you receive some unexpected piece of news that is in some way positive for you, or that you, something educational there as well. If you're, because 9th house is also the house of higher knowledge, learning something, classes, courses, completing some degree, or some teaching project, or some legal matters as well. That can be a completion, resolution there. Suddenly, some sudden developments connected to education, to your belief system, suddenly realizing something, seeing it from a higher perspective. The moon will illuminate the 9th house of the 9th house is where God talks to you. It's a much stronger intuition, much more aligned, like a flow energy. Yes, there can be some surprises, some surprise around those days that throws off your routines and whatever, but some revelation, something that you discover, something that makes you make sense and gives you clarity about the future, or about something about the past, that and you see it for what it truly is. Some truth can come out as well. 9th house is the house of morality, of some moral dilemmas that suddenly resolved. Answer to a long-awaited question. Say, maybe you ask God, should I do this or that, or what's or maybe you don't speak to God like I do, but I get answers so many times. I ask and I dream and I see it. When I pray passionately, fervently, I would ask something, and either a dream or a sign, or the 8th, 9th house, the house of signs. God talks to us through omens, through others, through your higher self. Always puts through birds, through cloud shapes, through a sudden ring of the phone while you're wandering. So if you have some big question in life about your direction, about your purpose, or about something even smaller, this full moon can elucidate it there. Can elucidate it, can suddenly give you the answer. All right, or the direction that you have planned suddenly changes. This is 9th house, my direction in life, or it's like, because your belief system shifts and what you want for your future suddenly shifts. There's another possibility. And Pluto moves on the 19th, from your 5th house, where it's been since 2008, very, very slowly eking its way into your 6th house. It's not going to make any aspects towards Virgo for the next 18 years. But it's going to work on the 6th house slowly. It wants to, I don't know, it can play out in so many different ways. It's so not easy to say what Pluto will do for many 18 years ahead, but you can feel some pressure going off from your romantic life, maybe not so many intense romantic choices anymore. Maybe not so many life and death and intense feelings when it comes to romantic life, or if there was some difficulties with children, it starts easing off, or or some big transformations there, it becomes a much calmer area. And Venus actually will be pretty much from the 11th of November till sometime in December in your fifth house, immediately after Pluto leaves, to do a lot of healing here, maybe have some more fun romantic time. And Saturn has turned direct in your seventh house. The pressure from relationships is not so bad anymore, and Venus can allow you to let your hair down a bit, to have some fun after the 11th, to enjoy yourself, to enjoy some pleasures, to feel more harmonious, more attractive, even protecting you there. Well, Pluto entering the sixth house can transform your career, your work. Pluto makes us very passionate and focused on something. Your work, your duties, responsibilities, that's a very familiar area for Virgos. The sixth house has the energy of Virgo, duty, responsibility. But that's 18 years, and you might do something really transformative in the coming 18 years, and something more Plutonian, something that has deep meaning for you, something that speaks to your soul, something that transforms others, something healing, something transformational. And Pluto rules surgeries as well in the sixth house. I'm not saying you're gonna have surgeries, but some big shift in health, hopefully for better, because Pluto gives us a lot of willpower to shift our health in some direction, by showing us the shadow side of our health habits first, and our unhealthy habits, and some struggle initially, but eventually it can transform you to the next level of health, of habits, and of your work. Like I had, my sister-in-law had Pluto in the sixth house, and she, her working life fully transformed since 2008. She was very always employed at minimum bare salary, whatever. And suddenly 2009, after Pluto entered her sixth house, just telling you a quick story, and a positive story, hopefully. And she was always, not feeling any power in her career. And as a miracle, she gets a chance to buy her own clinic, which they never give. She was the last in the list, and in the country where she lives, they always go first by the list because it's like a government type of thing. And it's like Pluto turned around her life, because whoever was supposed to sell that got angry and said, I'll take the last person from the list, not the first day or something. So she was the last person to ever get a clinic. She gets it, and suddenly from making 1,000 euros per month, she starts making 40,000. So she got empowered through her career. She kind of got powered, her duties, her daily routines, her work, everything transformed. She got empowered through that, but it totally changed, So just giving you a positive story. So, and it was in the medical field. So Pluto can really get you interested for years ahead in health, in nutrition, or careers like exercise, careers like healing, nutrition. Oh, this flies. Anyway, and now the last thing is that Mercury goes retrograde. You're ruled by Mercury. So for you, this is important. When Mercury goes retrograde, you feel it. Some people do much better during Mercury retrograde. Some people get a lot more work done, And Mercury is going retrograde in Sagittarius on the 25th, and at around which degree? 22 degrees. So if you're a Virgo from around 5 to 23, 4 degrees, you would feel this Mercury retrograde quite strongly into the end of February, into the beginning of December, the first couple of weeks. So you might be seeing family members, but for all Virgos, Mercury is retrograde in your fourth house. You have to take care of some family matters, some papers or documents about real estate property, or some family arrangements you might be doing, or getting in touch with family members you haven't seen before, or going back sometime in November or December, because Mercury is in your fourth house for 2 months, to the place you were born, or seeing your parents if you haven't seen them, or revisiting your place that you feel was like your home, or doing some changes around your home, some repairs, fixing something that's broken there, because Mercury is square by Saturn, or having some clarifying conversations about the rules in the family. Who's gonna do what? How is the rules gonna be now in the family? Changing the rules there, or maybe have certain plans with family, near dear people. After the 25th, it might be they might be thrown off a little bit, unless you're going back to a place that you can redo. I remember I built this external outside kitchen for the 2 months that Mercury was in my second house, in my fourth house of property. I started it with Mercury retrograde. It carried on with Mercury direct, carried on through the retrograde, and it took 2 months. They said initially 1 month, of course, Mercury retrograde, 2 months. And yeah, so you can do some very constructive, useful. Mercury is planet of organization, of dealing with details, but Saturn makes sure be careful so you don't have to redo it again after that. Because like we had to redo some of the pillars a year later after that. So yeah, you might be doing something, moving, changing something at home, or just the dynamics of the home, or so on. But of course, because Mercury is squaring you, even if it has nothing to do with home and property, it might just do with mercurial tasks, revising, editing, passwords, be careful, miscommunications, catching up on old correspondence is good, getting some old written, spoken papers, documents, doing something there, or using your skills, conversational, intellectual skills, on working on some project with extra efforts, because a retrograde planet and the whole cycle requires 3 times and longer time focus and attention, but the final results of anything mercurial, which is always business and work connected and communication connected and relationship connected, becomes much better and much lasting. But yeah, there might be some clarifications also in relationships and reevaluation, because Mercury squares your sun, moon, or ascendant, the axis of relationships as well. Or it can be just, getting in touch with people from before. So there you go, Virgo. Now we continue to Libra, sun, moon, or rising. Libra, the month starts with a new moon in your second house. Resetting your values, maybe deciding to invest in something new. And if you decide if you have any decisions connected to money, to assets, to value, to material, tangible things, if you decide to start something new or take some action, I think it's going to be quite positive, because Saturn is trying this new moon. It might take longer time to give returns or financially, but it's a long-term investment, or it's a long-term, or if you take some actions to have more money, whatever, something that will stabilize your security and family overall, it might take a bit longer, but it will be long lasting and it will stabilize your finances. So it's good time for any kind of financial decisions the first couple of weeks. Also, you can take up because it's about starting something new, a new type of diet, or adding new foods to your diet. And if you do it gradually with Saturn trining, it will be a permanent change, long-lasting change. So maybe you decide to add. It's not about taking things off. It's about add some more fruits, add something else, whatever it is. Okay, this is about the second house, pretty much, or something with the family. Second house rules family, or support system. If you decide to start something new there, again, it can have long-lasting, slower developing, but longer-lasting, stable results. Libra as well. There's some new opportunities, investment, or whatever that's interested for you here, possibly. Though the first week Mars is opposite Saturn in your 4th and 10th house, And especially the very later born Libras, those that are 27, 28, 29 degrees of Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising, they can feel the tension more. The later Libras, no. The later Libras, they don't, but the earlier Libras, but the very late Libras, they can feel this tension between Saturn and Mars, that those first 7 days, they're on edge, some stressful situation connected to family, to work, to career, some executive decision they have to make, maybe clash with authority figure possible as well. So if possible, try to avoid such clashes with family authority figures, because they can have more long-lasting effects, because Mars will turn retrograde and pass over those degrees, but they can also initiate some efforts that require a lot of their concentrated power and energy for the next 4 or 5 months, while Mars will be again there in the 10th house in regards to career, in regards to something that is connected to the status as well. But of course, I hope you don't initiate something with a boss or policeman or institution that you have to fix over the next 4 or 5 months. But otherwise, the very early Libras, they feel the Mars-Pluto opposition very stimulating. So if you are 0 to 2-3 degrees Libra, this Mars-Pluto opposition is actually supporting you to initiate something creative, new, because they're sextiling, trining you, and the tension is much more easily resolved there. And Mars enters from the 4th of November, your 11th house will be there the whole November, the whole December, and a bit into January. Something important, long-term goal, term, or project that you concentrate your efforts on. Maybe more activity on more socially active for the next couple of months. Some important developments towards December will happen, maybe with friendships, with groups and organizations, political or like-minded people, or spiritual, whatever groups you belong to, that there will be some reorganization later into December and January. But for now, there is the beginning maybe of something there for you. And maybe a friendship that appears, or friendships with more ambitious or male people, or being more active, either in social media, which is the 11th house, or being more active with social opinions, public opinions, and that can escalate a little bit with power struggles. Pluto is opposing this Mars pretty much the whole November, December, and into January, because of affiliations, groups, political affiliations. You can feel the tension November, December between this power struggle here, and also maybe a bit with children, that they can be your like a power struggle, your social activities, your children's demands, and whatever. Okay, but nothing too stressful, and nothing is directly affecting you. You see, your sign is empty. And by the way, no matter what's happening, Libras, Jupiter is trining you, and it's going to trine you till June 2025. This is the most protective aspect from the 9th house. The most protective aspect of Jupiter is from the 9th house, the house of God. You have a guardian angel on top of you now, and your intuition is so aligned. Jupiter opens the channels to your higher self to be at the right time, at the right place. So no matter what daily frustrations are happening, luck is on your side, and because you're aligned more to the morality, to truth, you're aligned more to higher impulses, and because of that, divine forces protect you. And also, if possible, always telling the truth will even raise your vibrations much more, and you're improving yourself in some way. Jupiter is self-improvement when it's in the 9th house. Anyway, back to November. Then Saturn is turning direct in your 6th house on the 15th, and it's been retrograde for 3-4 months. So if you've had some health complications, health uncertainties, or Saturn retrograde is like pressure cooker, I call it. So if there was some pressure there on your health, it starts unfolding after the 15th. It starts becoming easier. The steam is let off, It's not as intense. So maybe you are purposefully fixing and changing your health habits over the last few months. If you've been doing that, when Saturn starts moving direct, it becomes easier and easier for you to maintain those long-term, those, to start seeing the results of those health changes, implementations that you've done. Sixth house is also your work. If you've been having some delays with work project, if you've been having some things not just like a lot of pressure from work. Sometimes when Saturn is retrograde, it's extra pressure, but things move slower. Well, now you're going to start seeing the results of it, of those extra efforts and projects, or you start easing off. The pressure starts easing off. The duties, not so much. The routines, and maybe if you implement it and change your routines, now you feel it's easier for you to maintain them and to move ahead with new such implementations of new healthy habits, of new that you work through for the next 1 year, because Saturn still stays in your sixth house for 1.5 years. Also, Saturn is, some of you might made you very serious to consolidate some debt or kind of work through a debt and made a plan for it yourself. And like my husband started paying all our debts on property, and little by little he's been doing it. So now if you've been having some problem or restrictions about debts or whatever, or extra burden, it starts easing off and starts becoming more manageable, or moving ahead. And on the same day, the 15th, you have a full moon in your 8th house, Libra, and it's kind of intense. It's 8th house is intense house of powerful emotions. The full moon is about powerful emotions. Ends with what? With Uranus, this full moon, which is explosive emotions, and it's on the star Algol, which means to lose one's head. So careful there, you know. There can be some sudden surprises, some secret information, because it's a house of secrets that comes up, that surprises you, that shifts how you feel about something, that you see the fuller picture, like shines a light on some secret that makes you change in some way. Also, this is the house of intimacy. They can be more focused on intimacy. There can be some surprise there, or some intimacy, more bonding, but also exciting, but also surprising development, let's say. Also, this is if you have any stock market, or if you work in banking, or if you're dealing with any, it can be some developments dealing with insurances, inheritances. There is a surprise element. There's an element of seeing quick developments there, or surprise element of wills, of taxes. So maybe like, oh, you get that your taxes have passed, but it's something that you've been doing already and you see results about it, or you see sudden developments there in a different direction. And again, or mutual finances, your partner's resources, and there can be explosion of a lot more coming to you through others, or in investment in stock market suddenly, because it's in a star of wealth, it's in a house that's connected to money, in a sign connected to money. So for some of you Libras, there can be like some surprise there through the investments bank, other people's money that comes to you through others' taxes. You know, some important developments around the middle of the month in the next 2 weeks. All right, and there can be some realizations about certain traumas, feelings that you've had, like the moon illuminates with the light there, and you're like, oh, okay, and you know, such kind of stuff. And Pluto, Libra, is moving from your 4th house on the 19th, where it's been since 2008, made huge transformations in the lives of many Libras, all Libras, everyone who has Libra. Pluto squared them at some point in the last 15, 16, 17 years. And it's moving, and it's square aspect from Pluto is transformation through crisis. And especially in personal life, family, home. But now Pluto is moving forever away from your fourth house. So you're definitely going to feel this release emotionally, psychologically. It's not going to be, well, this full moon eclipse, okay, it's putting the emotions strongly, but we're talking 18 years ahead. Instead of making you grow through crisis, Pluto will make you grow through support, because it's going to make trine aspects to Libras for the next 18 years. The very early Libras, those first 4 degrees, will feel it in the next earlier. We'll feel it in 2025, in already at the end of 2024. While the later Libras, they'll start feeling more empowered and more true to themselves and more, yeah, this is empowerment energy, but it might take them a bit longer to see the actual events. So this is really wonderful, Pluto trine. Strength, power, rather than crisis, the square. And Pluto goes into your 5th house, so there might be some very transformational developments in your life because of your children, because of romantic life transforms, your interest in creative hobbies and your creativity can intensify. You can just download very relevant information. This is the house of, another house of luck, like the 9th house. This is good karma here from past lifetimes, and Pluto can start unlocking it gradually, you know. But yeah, there can be transformations in romantic life, very powerful, intense experiences, some deep fascination with something, discovering talents that you have, talents that even from past life talents, that you, talent is something you're naturally good at. It's not like a skill you learn, like driving. Okay, there can be people that are talented or skill that you learn, like writing or using a laptop or coding. This is something that you naturally bring a talent with you, and Pluto will start unlocking this and you realizing what it is, and you'll become more true to yourself, because this is one of the self houses, and Pluto being in a self house for you, Libra, for 18 years ahead says, I'm going to make you more real, more of who you are. You're going to get to meet yourself on a much deeper level, not through crisis, but by discovering your strengths, by discovering what you're unique at, what you're very special and that no one else can do as well as you. So it will really wants to blossom and unfold the special, unique spark in you, that you can do something unique, creative, that can transform the world, transform you, at least give you more meaning in life. And Mercury goes retrograde in your 3rd house on the 25th. Communications with people from past relatives, getting in touch with others, or also some clarifying conversations are important, or especially matters about documents, papers, and such. You might have to revise them, redo them towards the end of November, December, something that you haven't finished doing, writing some administrative or work project you have to wrap up. But there will need to be some corrections because Saturn is squaring. And be careful more with your electronic devices, communication devices, during the retrograde period, because Mercury squares Saturn. If there is any bugs or problems, or even your passwords, make them more secure. Saturn asks you to make such things more secure, change stuff like around. And of course, there might be some communication, some clarifying conversations with others around, or some even clashing of ideas and opinions. The whole November and December, Mercury is in your 3rd house, but definitely this means increased conversations, increased short trips, increased interest on everyday activities, interest on what's happening, interest on news media, more activation there. But when Mercury goes retrograde on the 25th, you might rethink certain people you don't want to associate with or see on your feed on Instagram or Facebook, and you can clean up some social media accounts, or you can kind of do inventory and redeciding what you want to put in your head, what you want to see daily, what information you want there. And it might be good time for like media detox for a little bit, because it's so externally stimulating. When Mercury goes retrograde in the 3rd house, you can rethink such behaviors. I remember once my husband had Mercury retrograde in the 3rd. Well, it was in Sagittarius a year ago again, and his phone broke. And instead of going and picking up one, I said, it's Mercury retrograde about to happen in 2-3 days. He says, I'm not going to get a new one. And he says, I'm going to wait. And for 3 weeks, he literally didn't have a phone. And it was like he felt happier because he said, I saw that because we usually 10 hours on our phones. We do everything from there. And I was like, oh, new tweet, oh, new whatever. And he saw that he can do things. He saw the silver lining in this Mercury retrograde. And he said like a brain detox. And he said, I felt happier and I saw things can be done in a different way. Then Mercury turned direct, back to normal. But yeah, also your schedules, your plans might be a little bit more disrupted, but usually so you can see it from an alternative perspective and see that it can be maybe something else needs to be done, redo a project, re-examine documents, correct it. But the Mercury is making a sextile to you guys, and it's not so disruptive. Definitely, it's actually more like you can get a lot of unfinished work finished, mental work, business, whatever. All right. Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, November 2025. Scorpio, the month starts on the 1st of November with the new moon in your sign. So anyone born around, 30th, 31st of October, 1st of November, 2nd of November, 31, this indicates that the next 1 year will be full of new beginnings because your birthday is very close to a new moon. Powerful new beginnings over the next 12 months for you. But for all Scorpios, this is the time of renewal. And over the next 15 years from the first to 15 months from 15 days from the 1st till the 15th, you can start new beginnings. And what can those new beginnings be? Well, it can be renewal of your health. It can be renewal of your goals in life. It can be new inspirations that any kind of new projects or new lifestyle, whatever, it's your sign. You choose what new things you want to do. And they would grow. And they would grow gradually because Saturn is trying this new moon. It's not going to be very quick, but it's going to be long lasting. So if you want some long lasting changes in your life for better, for good, that stick with you and that you continue to rely on and for them to grow for a while ahead, now is a great time to start doing it after the 1st of November. Wait a day after for the energies to settle. And you'd have time to unfold it and it will be stable and it will be kind of really grounding for you and positive, but without any rushing. Of course, Saturn is aspecting. So this is the new month, new beginnings. Write down when new ideas come, do at least the first steps there, new direction in life, and so on. Renewal for you, Scorpios. The same time, Mars is doing opposition to Pluto the first 5, 6, 7 days of the month. You can feel it. It's from actually the very early Scorpios can feel it more tensely. The ones that have 0 to 3 degrees, 4 degrees of Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising. So the very early Scorpios, they can feel this tension between Mars and Pluto, even up to 6 degrees, because Mars will square those 6 degrees in November, the first 6 degrees only. So you can feel a bit more challenged, those early 6 degrees of Scorpio this November because of the opposition of Mars and Pluto. You can feel like others are challenging you more, or that they can be some authority figures here, or bosses or institutions, or avoid conflicts with police and such kind of, but you can also find yourself that you're more motivated, more ambitious, more driven to achieve in your career. And Pluto gives extra willpower to Mars and extra concentration and laser focus to achieve something. You might embark on some difficult project that requires you to fight or to mobilize your energies there in regards to your career, in regards to your direction in life. And of course, you can feel some tension with authority figures or father figures or with your own, authority, this impatience there, and even with family. And this is for all Scorpios now, because Pluto and Mars will be opposite their home, family, and their career area. So there might be some changes or important decisions you take on this axis: personal life, property, family, and work, career, the worldly responsibilities. But you don't want to start fights and anything like that, because they can drag out, because Mars will go retrograde in December. If you pick up any fights, conflicts, they can drag out for the next 4 or 5 months even. But you want to use this Mars in your 10th house in November and December in productive way. Get things done. I love Mars in the 10th house. Even when it goes retrograde there, that's when I restructured my business, like how I do it, the structures of everything. It was some extra efforts. I saw that some things were not working, but I was so happy with the final result. And you're going to see the final results in April, May of 2025. But it might require some concentrated efforts initially. Okay. And Mars rules you. So wherever Mars goes, you put a lot of energy there. And there is like Mars is moving from the 9th house to the 10th house, more ambition, more drive. Some of you, Scorpios, over the next 4 or 5 months will change. Even especially important is November and December, can change the direction of their career, can restructure something, can later on into December, January might go back to a career or project they've done before. They haven't finished, or they might just somehow the whole status, especially the earlier born Scorpios, the whole status can change in the world. Okay. Then the other big event is that there is a full moon eclipse on the 15th here. It's not eclipse, sorry, full moon in your 7th house, exactly opposite you. Especially those Scorpio born in the last 10 degrees, they'll feel it very strongly from 20 to 30 degrees, because it's happening at 24 degrees in Taurus, and I give 5 degrees on each side. There can be some but I'm also talking for all Scorpios, because others can feel it as well. They can have some surprise that comes to you from the outside around the middle of the month. Some surprise development in the life of their partner, of their business or personal relationship. Something suddenly shifts, something changes the relationship, or your partner changes in some way, something in his life circumstances change, and it happens surprisingly. Someone from the outside, another person can trigger you, can instigate you in some change that you make yourself, and especially those degrees that I said, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 of Scorpio. It can be life-changing, this full moon for you, because Uranus is opposing. It's part of the eclipse. And the full moon. The full moon activates it. So life-changing decision. You see how the major events this month are happening. New moon first in your sign, then 10th and 4th house. These are the pillars of life. This is you and your actions. This is your personal life, family, home, place of living. This is your relationships, and this is your career. It's like on a cross, but different degrees are being triggered. One's the bit later degrees, Mars and Pluto, the earlier degrees. So just giving you for more clarification. So for some of you, this full moon in Uranus with Uranus can suddenly end the relationship, because it's full moon. It can't grow more. You've seen the full potential. That's all it can do. You end up a contract, you end up a relationship, you end up a business partnership, you end up a collaboration with someone, or who is your client or associate. It's like, okay, I'm done. Uranus cuts off and doesn't look back. For others, it can mean that you see, because full moons are also about seeing the results of something. So if you've been working in collaboration with another, your partner's been trying to get a job or do some change in their life, now you see the results, and now you get the rewards as well. This full moon, you complete a project with another, you complete some business deal, you complete some it involves kind of ending, but it involves also reaping rewards and seeing results of some sort. Or you can get some illumination and clarity and sudden change of heart in regards to some person, or maybe energetic upgrade of an existing relationship very suddenly changes, like that, and moves it to another level because it's, to a new stage in some way. So yeah, something important, others activate you, or circumstances out of yourself, independent of you, and you can be more public around that time. You can be more somehow take a decision either that ends things, completes things, changes things for you, and you can suddenly also make some important sale, some important deal that you've been working on. That's another way it can play out. Doesn't necessarily mean cutting off connections and that's it. All right, and on the same day that the full moon happens, Saturn starts turning direct. And Saturn's been retrograde in your 5th house for the last 3-4 months. And now it's starting to move forward on the 15th, but it stays on the same degree the whole November. So it might still feel like things are a bit stuck, and that might be connected to romantic life, or it might be connected to some speculative investments, but you start feeling a shift after the middle of the month. Gradual but positive shift. Because when Saturn is retrograde, it's like pressure cooker. It puts a lot of pressure on you in matters of love. Maybe there was some distance romantically. Maybe a romantic partner or you were busy with responsibilities and duties, so you couldn't connect on a heart level. Maybe there was just blockage in your romantic life, or not enough fun in life because of other circumstances. 5th house is to have fun, to enjoy yourself. Saturn there, retrograde, constipated area. But or you didn't feel pleasure or joy, but Saturn starts moving. So into December, you'd feel more and more that you're connected to your heart, that maybe romantically is not as under pressure. Some problem starts getting resolved in a romantic relationship. Maybe this Uranus full moon will also pop the cork and unbottle it, and or if you had some, if your children have been going through some problems or more difficult period or more intense period, or in your relationship with you or in their own life, Saturn starts moving direct and you see them starting to progress, and the difficulties start untangling in those relationships with children, and that they're kind of are having more easier, becoming easier, so to speak. All right. And also, if you've been working on some creative project, I know, might be a piece of song, might be a website that you're creating, might be a business plan because it's your own original, maybe turning some hobby into business, because 5th house are our natural born talents. When Saturn is there, we get serious about those things, discovering something you're naturally good at. And Saturn retrograde, you might work to master it or to reframe it, and then you can, start, when it turns direct, you can start seeing something creative that you've been working on, start moving, be more natural, be more easy forward. Like my husband rethought his whole lifestyle when Saturn transited his 5th house, and he says, I'm no longer the party guy. And I'm like, come on, let's go to a party. And he was like, no, we're past that. We have kids, we have responsibilities here with kids. We had a lot of responsibilities. Saturn in the 5th house, especially when it would get retrograde, the kids would get harder and started moving forward. And he found other way to enjoy himself, and other ways, more mature, more responsible ways that felt more natural to him. Plus, he discovered with Saturn in the 5th house his natural God-given talent for investments and stuff like that. So yeah, might have been working on something, and when Saturn starts moving direct, something that you've put passion in, something that you've put natural talents, you start seeing the results of that. But yeah, our romantic life was suffering during that time. It was a bit dry. Anyway, back to you. So here, some surprise, maybe something from another person, this full moon on the 15th, around the 15th, a few days before the next 2 weeks, surprise proposition from another person, some quick developments there that are connected not just to you, but to another person as well. All right. Then Pluto starts moving into your fourth house. From the 19th of November, Pluto leaves forever Capricorn, and you are Pluto. The other planet that rules you, except Mars, which is in your 10th house, is Pluto. That's why I said Pluto-Mars are kind of fighting each other out, opposition, but you're both planets. And it means like you have extra concentrated willpower and focus. You're naturally focused. You're naturally very willful and strong sign. And now it's enhanced, but you'll be more explosive this November and December. Just remember, you'll be more easy to get triggered, but also more motivated and driven. And Pluto moving into your fourth house for the next 18 years ahead. Never going back into the third anymore. 18 years ahead. But now we're talking about November, just so into December. There is this pressure energy there with personal life, with career, maybe changing direction, maybe doing something there that requires a lot of your focus, and it will give you a lot of your concentrated power. And some changes, and Pluto wants to transform for some of you, especially the very early Scorpios, the first 3-4 degrees, 4-5, even to 6 degrees, they can be like big shifts over the next 2-3 months in their personal life, place of living, family, who is part of their family, and into the 10th house, status, career. Or some structural changes you're doing to property, to real estate, to where you live. But sometimes Pluto can intensify in Mars, arguments with family members, arguments with people in your close environment. You're discovering some secrets about your past and childhood, but you have 18 years of this Pluto there. So it's only the first of many times it's going to get activated there. But yes, certain secrets about family, certain breaking family patterns and family curses even sometimes. So, they say they have a curse. Everyone gets divorced in this family, or everyone gets diabetes, or everyone, some repeating ancestral pattern. Pluto starts to break those patterns down. But you are going to break them. You realize something, you say you're not going to do it this way. And my husband had it for 17 years, Pluto in the fourth house. A lot of personal changes. He got married, got divorced, bought property, got married, had 2 children, discovered a lot of secrets about his childhood, about his mom, about his family that he didn't know, made peace with that, transformed it, Pluto just leaving his fourth house, feels much more anchored emotionally, much more solid foundation. But it's a lot of transformations for 18 years for you on this emotional level. And you're quite good with that, Pluto, the Scorpios, because you're naturally Plutonian. So Pluto transits actually are very empowering for you. You can handle them very well. And you'll be reborn, and especially Pluto, Scorpios, the first 4, 5 to 6 degrees will start feeling this rebirth from now, November, December, the next whole year, because Pluto will square them. And Pluto squares are about stripping you naked in the underground. You might feel vulnerable for a little bit, like to be stripped naked, but then you would see the real self and the real you, and you'd feel much more authentic, in touch with the deep truths in you. So there might be like big shifts, especially for the early born Scorpios. Within a year, of even from this month onwards, 0 degrees, 1, 2, they'll feel it. Okay. And yeah, so yeah, you can be buying, selling properties for years ahead. You can even become very powerful because Pluto rules you in real estate, very powerful in anything to do with the hospitality, Airbnbs, or such areas of life, or just dedicate a lot of your energy for years ahead into family matters or psychology or your roots, understanding such dynamics, psychological, clearing up the karma of the family. Good luck stopping that, repeating patterns. Okay, but that's for a long time ahead. I just wanted to quickly insert it there. And Mercury is going to go retrograde in your second house towards the 25th of November, but it stays in your second house the whole November and the whole December. Mercury usually stays in a house just for 20 days. Now, much prolonged period. So it's asking you, the universe, to pay attention to your finances, to what you consider valuable, maybe to change sometime in November and December your how you eat, what you eat, to re-examine your tastes. And even to do an inventory of your possessions, throw out or give away or organize. Mercury likes to organize, to keep it kind of inventorized, possessions, valuables. Just be careful not to lose things because Mercury, in the second house, displacing valuable objects and whatever, especially Saturn squaring, damaging certain valuable objects. For some of you, might be something like that. But also money, it's important to get your financial affairs in order by the 25th, because after that, there might be some delays connected to transactions, to money, to receiving valuables, even do your present shopping, anything tangible before that, if possible, because after that, till December, till the 15th of December, things that you're expecting might not come or might get damaged and so on. Or you might have to, fix something with Mercury retrograde square Saturn's, fix something damaged that's valuable, or repurpose old things. That might be a good thing. Repurpose old clothes, old valuables for something else. Also might be time to pay attention to your teeth with Mercury retrograde there. Go do maybe a tooth filling has fallen down and you put it, something like that. Okay. Sagittarius. But this month, Scorpio is very important for you. Very, pay attention. The most important of all the signs, together with Taurus. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Sagittarius, the month starts with a new moon on the 1st of November in your 12th house. It's kind of more to the 20th of November. 12th house is maybe taking it a bit more easier, giving yourself breaks, because it's time to recharge your soul before you can recharge your body from the end of November, the last 10 days when the sun moves into Sagittarius. So you might sleep a bit more, you might have stronger intuition, definitely with this 12th house, premonitions, feelings. And you're also becoming more clear what you want to leave from your life. 12th house is house of endings. And you might be much more, you can recommit or commit yourself to letting go of something this month, this November. Even though it's a new moon, but it's like starting a new regime to release unnecessary things from your life. And because it's Scorpio is also a sign of transformations of your psychology, of your mental health. And if you take some steps towards improving your mental health from the beginning of November, they'll be long-lasting because Saturn is trining this new moon. They'll be gradual and slow, but they'll have long-lasting stabilizing effects on your mental health. Also, if you can undertake something about mystical studies, spiritual studies, or research, that will be slow going, but very thorough and long lasting as well. Or you can initiate some kind of a project where you use your imagination, the 12 houses, or if you want to start something new, it has to be 12 house activity, which can be with spiritual business, with artistic or imaginative project of some sort, writing fairy tales, I don't know, imaginative. If you're using writing and music, or any business in the sphere of music. This 12th house is kind of something that's more spiritual, more healing, or you can start some healing practices or spiritual practices now. This is very good for it, and it will be long lasting. You'll stick with it. It will give gradual but strong results. But yeah, if you feel like resting a bit more, that's okay, or going to a foreign country, this November is also good for you, because of this new moon in your 12th house. A new place that you've never been to, go to a hotel. 12 houses, retreats, hotels, and so on. That will be good, and stabilizing for you. We're also going to have Pluto opposite Mars, Sagittarius. It's not directly affecting you. It's kind of on your 3rd and 9th house that you feel it mostly in November. 3rd and 9th house cusp. They can be, guess what, opinions. Your opinion and others' opinions clashing and power struggles about it. The exact opposition is the first week of the month. But the opposition stays active the whole November and the whole December. So it's within our degrees, 4 or 5 degrees. So yes, you might feel cold to give your opinions to others, Mars in your 9th house, and others to give their opinions as well, and in a not very gentle way, and the gloves falls off, and you might enter into verbal arguments or whatever in such topics. Something to be cautious about, because Mars will stay there a long time, and you don't want to get yourself drawn in such issues. Plus, there might be some legal issues for some of you, that some legal battle some of you might have to fight, and Mars says, well, you have to be strong, but not aggressive. You have to be strategic and smart, because Mars will turn retrograde, and when it turns retrograde, it wants you to ask in a Scorpionic way, rather than like a Mars way, more like strategic, like a chess player. Also, 9th house can be that you're Mars going there and staying there for the next 2 months, some intellectual or educational changes that you do, some taking classes, courses, learning higher knowledge, or planning your future. 9th house rules the future, the strategy, where you want to be in a year or two, whatever, and how you see yourself in the future. I might be interested in astrology, higher knowledge, put a lot of energy in that. And by the way, if you want me to help you planning your future, your 2025 video horoscope for more like 100 minutes of it is available. It will really help you plan not just 2025, but the next 15 years, because I speak about many, many things that are longer than 1 year there. Because a lot of you Sagittarius will have interest in the future, in ideals, high ideals, in purpose, meaning, and so on. And as I said, there might be some travels that are important for Sagittarians, that they're preparing or doing something about that, planning their educational, travel, legal, higher knowledge. But Mars, all in all, is really helping you, especially the first 7-8 degrees of Sagittarius. Mars will be trining them, and you will feel like you have more ambition, more drive, more focus, that you're when you're doing things, they are happening with more ease and drive. And even when Mars turns retrograde in December, again, you'd continue to feel the power, the positive and easy power, like more energy, and so on. Then you have on the 15th, Saturn turning direct at 12 degrees Pisces. Basically, Saturn stays at 12 degrees Pisces the whole month of November. And it's going to square anyone who has the Sun, Moon, or Ascendant 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 degrees in Sagittarius. They can feel the pressure, because Saturn is basically stationary, sitting on those 12 degrees and affecting the 3 degrees before 12, so 9, 10, 11, 12, and the 3 after that, 13, 14, 15, very strongly. Something very important happens for those middle degrees Sagittarius because of Saturn square. And if you've been feeling for the last few months, all of you Sagittarius, not just those degrees under pressure, or that things are stuck, that they're not moving, that there isn't, and that they're emotionally heavy. Saturn in the fourth house, especially when it's been retrograde for 3-4 months. I have quite a few Sagittarius friends and Sagittarius rising, and they've been saying they're up and down emotionally. One day very good, one day down, and they say, like, I feel I'm stuck. Well, Saturn starts moving forward. You feel a shift in your moods. You'd feel a shift in your overall vibration from more heavy to a bit lighter. Saturn still stays in your fourth house. There's almost one more year of it being there, but certain responsibilities and duties that you have, maybe towards family and home, maybe towards some kind of stagnant situation with property or real estate, or difficult situation with mother or father, or they're going through difficulty, it starts easing off. Or if you have cooled off relationship with family, or maybe not enough time because of responsibilities, or maybe too many responsibility parental or towards a parent, or or some damages with property and issues there, or stagnation of selling or buying a property, or deciding where to live, or building a property that's getting delayed or something like that. Well, it starts gradually, turns direction, and it starts becoming easier, all those topics or situations. And you'll feel more and more released. Those middle degrees, there's the last push for them, and then they are released for 7 years. They're not going to feel Saturn at all. 7 years again. So yeah, Saturn, something will become easier here with this fourth house for you, even if it's nothing around the home or family, as we talked. Definitely your emotions will ease off, and even health will start, being better. And don't worry, because Jupiter keeps looking at you the whole next 6 months, 7 months from the seventh house, 7 months even. So you're protected. And you have a full moon on the 15th again in your sixth house with Uranus, which is more towards your health habits, daily routines, work. There might be sudden shift in regards to what you want to work with or sudden change, like with your schedules and routines. It's surprising, out of the blue, you've scheduled yourself that you'll do this, those errands, those tasks, those things to do. Well, surprise, Uranus in your Uranus full moon in your sixth house, something else comes up that has to be taken care of, or you might be completing some job, or you might be shifting that you don't want to be in a certain job and you're ending it, and sudden choice, or you're completing some project or something you've been working on and seeing results about it. Or there might be a sudden shift in your health routines and habits. You suddenly get, wow, I no longer, that's about letting go of something. Now it's a full moon eclipse. After that, you can release, suddenly cut off on an unhealthy habit. That's really good for it in November, from the middle onwards, even before that. And also sixth house is debt. For some of you, it can be that they're freed of some debt. The debt can be financial, or a debt can be, or a debt can be a debt towards someone else, some duty, responsibility that you no longer want to do. That it's the karma that has ended, and you no longer have to do this duty and responsibility, and you're freed from some debt. Sixth house is also health and illnesses. So if you've been carrying some illness, whatever, or condition, it might suddenly have resolution with Uranus there. Suddenly some kind of a solution or treatment or healing out of the blue, some realization that aligns your health to a different level. Okay. Pluto is moving from your second house on the 19th into your third house, where for the next 18 years will be supporting you. Pluto will be making only sextile for 18 years. Pluto will empower you without breaking you down. The sextile aspect of Pluto doesn't break you down, doesn't put you through crisis. I mean, It's not that you'll never have any crisis, but Pluto will just make you so much stronger naturally, and not to be afraid of difficult things, and to gives you more willpower, and it will give you a very concentrated thought. Your thought, the depth will surprise others. It's coming out of your money sector. So if you had some big transformations there with money, with finances, some difficulties, these leave you behind actually. So it will be much more calmer area of your life. While Pluto enters into your third house, you'd transform your skills, you develop skills and interest you didn't know you wanted to do. It can bring you great ability to learn and to study something, maybe to learn and study, because Pluto is very passionate, learn and study something, especially Aquarian, new technologies, anything new, anything alternative, different, scientific, technological. It can give you a depth of understanding. It can create some intense bonding and it can transform your social circle, though, like the people in your life, your friends around you. Yes, they can be, as I said, even already in November and December, some power struggles with siblings, with relatives, with friends, because of the Pluto-Mars opposition those 2 months, November and December. And also you have to be a bit more cautious about saying things that hurt others, because Pluto is heavy energy, and when it says it gets to the truth, but it's it can really but yeah, you're learning to find your truth as well, your true voice. But there can be some more intense exchanges with others, but still Pluto is supporting, especially the first 3-4 degrees of Sagittarius are very supported in the next months, 2-3 months, empowered. And Pluto will change your environment where you live, your mind, how you think, your relationship, how you relate with others. Pluto will strengthen and bring you more positive relationships, because it will send trine to your intimate relationships, marriage partners, business partners, these more close relationships. Pluto will definitely create more intensity, but not in a stressful way for years ahead, more in a intimate way, in a bonding way, in a transformational, in a positive way. Okay. So Pluto starts helping your relationships while transforming your thinking, your immediate environment, how you think. You're gonna start reading between the lines and seeing through everyone's bullshit like never before. And finally, Mercury goes retrograde in your sign. Actually, it will stay in your sign 2 months, the whole November, the whole December. Usually Mercury stays just 10 days, 15 days in the sign. So it's long stay of Mercury here. Maybe that's the most important influence for you. Actually, for you, Sagittarius, forget the new moon, forget the full moon. Saturn turning direct is the most important. Pluto helping you for 18 years, but specifically, and this opposition here, but Mercury will be in your sign for 2 months. You'll be very busy communicating, people coming. Mercury rules your 7th house of others, coming into your 1st house, a lot of exchanges with others, communications. You might be completing some old projects when it starts turning direct, seeing some old friends or boyfriends, girlfriends, exes can get in touch with you in November, towards the end, in December, while Mercury is retrograde, or just see people you haven't seen for a while. Or you might have some important clarifying conversations with partners, especially if it's not a balanced relationship and there is no equal give and take or equal or fair rules of the game. A Mercury retrograde this November and December will ask you to, even in the pre-shadow period, it can start, that's early in November, to say things that were unsaid before, but that need to be talked about, that need to be addressed. And if there is no desire from the other side or from your side for the new rules of the game, or change for the renegotiated contract, whether it's a business or personal relationship here, it can really be a time when you shift your attitude towards someone, and sometimes it's business relationship, sometimes it's personal one, or it might be that you really have a heart-to-heart conversation, clarify some things, and decide, okay, these are the rules, because Saturn square, Saturn wants rules to be corrected. This is how we're going to do it. And if both sides agree, by the end of December, you can have a much better and stable relationships, much better and stable partnerships, contracts, agreements, but some contracts might be renegotiated, re-agreed. But Mercury also rules your career, so it might be very much connected, those clarifying conversations, corrections, things connected to your career, connected to your some institutions, papers, documents. I actually like Mercury retrograde in my sign. I feel under more pressure with mercurial tasks. I have to study, I have to talk, I have to communicate more, or I have to correct something when it goes retrograde. I have to do a lot more business, but usually my business is way better after Mercury retrograde period because I've put more order, organization there. I've done more seeding through what is important, what is not, preorientation, what is the more important stuff to do in organization there. All right, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Capricorn, this month starts with a new moon in Scorpio, 11th house, which means that, here it is, it's good. It's going to be a small social month for you. There can be a reset of a social setting. And if you get invited somewhere, do go. Something new can come to you from there. Connect with like-minded people. Join groups online. Or you might feel called to join some organization or some movement of some sort, ideological or business movement or groups. Because something good, something stable, and some kind of a reinvention and opportunity can come to you from such social or connections. So maybe upgrade your network of business or personal, and you can even start a new long-term goal or a dream or some kind of something that requires your efforts, and it will be long-lasting. Even if you create new connections now, new clients, new followers, it will be, if you start any plan for marketing, for reaching more audience, for more gains, for more business, which is 11th house connected, or if you start some plan for starting some new long-term goal, like a PhD or title or honor, or other long-term goal, like some big project you'll be working on, it's good time for it, Capricorns, because Saturn trines this new moon. It will take long time or longer time. It will be slow going, but consistently progressing and long term. So if you start trying to do something that increases your income, because 11th house is also income, or it increases your prestige with the community, or increases your social standing in a group of people, increases your earnings, or follow some long-term goals or dreams of yours, now is the time to do it. It's a very good time. It will be long-lasting. At the same time, Mars enters Leo, from where it will oppose Pluto pretty much the whole of November, within orb, the whole of December. That's on the axis of your second, and actually Capricorns, the very last degrees of Capricorn, especially the first week of the month. So 27, 28, 29 degrees of Capricorn, they feel the opposition between Mars in the 7th house and Pluto in the 1st house strongly the first week, and even the last weeks of October. There can be more tension with others, some important decisions, something that escalates with others, with clients, with business partners, with marriage partners, boyfriend, girlfriends. You can be more triggered, definitely. So a bit more careful this first week. And then Pluto and Mars pretty much move. I'll get to Pluto, but Mars moves from the 4th, 5th into your 8th house, where it will have its retrograde period there in December. So you might be engaged more with matters for the most November, December into January, taxes, insurances, inheritances, mutual finances, money that comes to you from others, and matters of intimacy as well. Just throwing all of those topics, they speak anything to you. Personal transformation, psychological investigation, digging for secrets, revealing things that were hidden from you before. This can all be, and power struggles. Mars in the 8th house sometimes can bring power struggles, but these usually can be power struggles about values, mine versus yours, Pluto opposes. So if there is any danger in in November and December, it's if there are clashes between what's mine, what's yours, what I like, what you like, what you contribute, what I contribute, what you do, what I do, what is my thing to do, what is your thing. So there can be this clash. There's something to do with money that you might have to rework or redo over the next couple of months, money, finances there on this axis. Now, on the 11th, Venus enters into your sign. So no matter all Mars, Pluto craziness there, it's not even in your sign anymore. You're out of the picture, but Venus really protects you from the 11th to the end of the month. You can do Venusian things. You can go on romantic days. It will be good. Venus rules your 5th house. The planet of romance goes in the 1st house. You can have more fun. You can feel more attractive. You can feel more desirable. It's good to present yourself to others during that time because you just come across better and you make better first impressions, or just things go easier. You're more zen, more happy in that period. And at the same time, Pluto pretty much leaves your sign on the 19th, but you're free from that intense energy that's been there with you for 19 years. No, sorry, for 15, 16 years now. And Venus already starts healing you November, December. It's going to get much easier for Pluto. That's what I want to tell you. And actually in 2020, because for Capricorns, no more Pluto will ever enter your sign. And 2025, Capricorns are one of the most supported signs of all the signs. If you want to check your 2025 video horoscope, they're out already. You can pre-order them till the 4th of November at 30% off. Because Capricorn will get a lot of support, and a lot of Capricorns will find possibly love and marry or something like that from next year onwards. But all the difficult influences of Pluto leave you. And if you pass the Pluto test, oh yeah, the planets feel like a kid's game, like a piece of cake, honestly. After Pluto, yeah, you're going to have Saturn, Neptune, but they are much easier. Okay. And on the 15th, there is full moon in your 4th house, in your 5th house. So you see again, full moon, there is activation of the love house, the romance house. What does it mean? Maybe for some of you, maybe something surprising. Oh, you didn't expect it, or a surprise date with your partner, or someone new, or someone that, or some surprising development in your romantic life. The 5th house is also your children. The people that we love the most is the 5th house, usually the ones that make our heart flutter, our kids, our romantic partners. Of course, if they're the right one, if there is the in-love feeling. Otherwise, it can be some burst up here with romantic partner. Surprise, surprise, I don't love you anymore. That's the end. Because full moon is like sometimes it's like it shows us the truth about a romantic partner, with Uranus, the planet of truth. On the star of very explosive, in Uranus is quite explosive, but also it can be some exciting entertainment, the second part of the month, party, enjoyment of some sort, because this is holidays, going to restaurants, enjoyable things you do. So they can be focused now towards the middle of November and later on. Also, if you have children, there can be some surprising development there, or they can come on focus, or maybe some creative project that you're completing, seeing the results of it, maybe the rewards of it as well. Maybe you've been working on a website, you're completing it. Maybe you've been working on article or whatever, anything that is your own creation, you can complete it. But there is a lot more joy from this new moon for you, and it's very supporting rather than shocking, like for some other signs. And as I said, on the Saturn is turning direct on the 15th as well. Saturn is turning direct on the 15th of November. It's been retrograde for the last 3 months and something in your third house. It's turning direct at around, it stays on the same degree though, but if there was some complications in this third house for you, you start seeing it getting resolved. Those complications start getting resolved. What complications? With communications, not being heard in a team, or maybe you're working in a project with a small group of people and it's getting delayed. Now you're going to start seeing the results. Or if there is some tension with you and a small group of people, or with siblings, or with neighbors, or with relatives, or if they've been going through some difficulty themselves, you'll see that easing off of that pressure. Or if you've been under some intellectual or mental pressure, taking, some people have to study something, learn something. And when Saturn is retrograde, the pressure is heavier and they feel like it's more difficult, slow going. Well, maybe now you've passed the exam, so maybe now you start feeling more fluent and with the information, is not as stressful, is not as the difficult work is done, and towards December you're going to start feeling less mental pressure. Or maybe you had some complications with papers, with documents that were delayed, with some emails. I remember I had a friend when Saturn was in her third house retrograde. She didn't have internet for 3 months and her car broke down and she was dealing with such issues over and over, and Saturn turned direct and all such problems started getting resolved. Okay, so there is some good news there as well. Okay. And then, as I said, Venus is in your sign, brings good stuff. Pluto on the 19th leaves your sign, bye Capricorn, enters Aquarius. Over the next 18 years, it will either make you millionaires or make you or break you. I've seen people become millionaires with Pluto in the second for sure, or become, they've definitely transformed their material security and their values in an unrecognizable way. I saw also someone who was very well to do in the corporate world realize that their values are no longer what they want, and they went more into the to make money in a very different way, very different way that more aligned to their new values. Okay. So we spoke about the 5th house, the 7th house, the social activities. Here's the romantic and creative part. So good activations for you, Capricorns. Good months. Venus in your sign. I think you're one of the best to do signs this month. Except the very last degrees, Capricorns, 28, 29, where the very beginning of the month, they feel this tension between Mars and Pluto. And at the end, we have Mercury going retrograde on the 25th of November in your 12th house. It's not directly affecting you. Maybe to see what you want to keep, what you want to leave. Kind of Mercury is more about practical things. Maybe some private communication might be happening in November and December for you, because Mercury stays in this 12th house the whole time. Private communication, spending time around reading, researching, it's very good for that. Use it for that. Maybe working behind the scenes, completing something, putting finishing touches when Mercury is retrograde. Just be careful that you're not forgetful during Mercury retrograde in the 12th house. But otherwise, your dream life may be quite intense with Mercury there, reliving certain things. Study, research, spiritual topics, even some trips abroad is okay for Capricorns. Trips abroad to places you've been before after Mercury turns retrograde. Nothing too intense unless you have planets in Sagittarius. Then the typical Mercury retrograde things like schedules of there might be some disrupted schedule. So because Capricorn usually likes things organized and well, Mercury retrograde periods can throw them off. So if you can schedule that you have more time free in December in particular, the end of November, the beginning of December, if you want to take a holiday or some time away, that's a good time for it, or retreat a little bit more, alone time. And then from 20th of December, 24th, 5th, you start coming into power again. So try and finish up all tasks for work that, kind of that are important, documentations, and by the end of November, if possible. All right, now Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Aquarius, the month starts with a new moon on the 1st of November. The Sun and Moon in your 10th house, renewal of your career, of your goals, new project in your career. For some of you, might be even a new career that can appear this month. Usually there is a lot of focus, me as an Aquarius rising, always around November, there is a lot of focus with work and starting something new there, visibility. And if you start some new projects with work, or if you focus your efforts there, renewing your career, your work, they'll be long lasting, and they can even stabilize your finances, long lasting. They might develop slow, but productively and give results. Or you can start something connected to contacting people in power or people in authority, or institutions, something undertaking with institutions. Again, I think that it can be for good. It might be a bit slower, but stable and positive results. At the same time, Mars enters from the 4th of August, your 7th house, but only the early born Aquarians, those that are 0 to 7, 8 degrees will feel Mars. But I have to mention, for all Aquarians, Mars will be for 2 months in your 7th house of relationships, but those 7 degrees for 0 to 7, they have to watch it out more the whole November and the whole December, because Mars makes an opposition with Pluto pretty much those 2 months, because it just stays there, moves very slowly. They have to be a bit more careful when it comes to relationships. Something important can happen in the life of their partner, in the life with business and personal partners. That is the focus of November and December. There might be escalation of arguments sometimes, escalations of, especially if something is not right in the relationships. When Mars starts turning the retrograde in December, the beginning, it can be challenging times, those few 7 degrees, of Aquarians. And you might feel triggered by others more. And again, I'm giving this advice to you, but I'm one of those 2 degrees Aquarians. Instead of reacting, try to delayed reaction. Delayed, because Mars is moving very slow. Don't jump ahead. Delayed reaction, think more strategic, if possible. And also another person and others, not necessarily just marriage partner or business partner, another person can be a trigger for you to start making some changes in your personal life as well. Or you can start making together with a partner some changes mutually, start exercising, or start on some project that requires your mutual efforts. So that's how it can play out very well, rather than you confronting them, rethinking them. Because Mars retrograde in November, December, you might ask you, if you're not in the right relationship, to even end certain agreements, contracts, marriages, boyfriends, girlfriends, commitments, or to rethink it, to improve it. That's another way it can play, to improve it. And there might need to be a confrontation, what you're unhappy about with a partner, to tell them, and they might do the same. But try and keep it more civilized, so there is no explosion and accusations. And Mars, Pluto can be acerbic for a couple of months. But it's actually, this can be fantastic, that something shifts in your partner and you, that you change the dynamic of the relationship and that you change or that you do something together. While others can be that can meet someone new as well while Mars is still direct, someone martial energy. There might be sexual sparks or more ambitious driven business partner or romantic partner. This Mars macho energy, they're all very active, sporty, athletic. But just remember, if others are pressing your buttons, it's a very important month for Aquarians. As you see, first the eclipse is on an angle, career, some important decisions. Then, especially the early born Aquarius, something very major developing through others, through partnerships, and Pluto in your first house. Pluto enters Aquarius again this month on the 19th of November. We haven't gotten to the 19th yet, but it enters it and it's going to stay there for the next 18 years. So brand new chapter for many Aquarians. And Pluto wants to empower you, wants to divest you and strip you of everything that is not truthful, that is not you, the old ego. And stripping of the old ego can hurt sometimes, but it can be extremely, it's like taking off 100 kilos of your weight. And sometimes you have to encounter your shadow and you have to encounter the darker side. And because only this really makes you strong. When you see the darker side, the shadow side, and you overcome it, you conquer it, you feel so empowered and you're no longer scared. You might sometimes have to confront your biggest fears and you come out a new person. I've had friends who are very early Aquarians, Pluto already transited. But for the next 12 months, only the first 4 or 5 degrees of Aquarius will feel this totally life-transforming Pluto. And I had a family that they had a big battle. They were both 0 degrees Aquarius sun. Big battle for the last 9 months. Their child was taken by CPS for stupid reasons because they believe in astrology and things like that. And the whole country rolls basically to support them in this because people love them. They're a famous couple. And they took their child back. They won. But, sometimes Pluto forces us to win battles that we thought we could never surmount, going against the whole system or something. Then I had another friend, Aquarius, that Pluto transited her son over the last 1 year. In that 1 year, she got married, got pregnant, moved to another continent, gave birth. Her whole life changed, absolutely. So Pluto will change your life. You're not going to be the same person. You'll be way more mature when it transits over you. You'll become like, it's an initiation process into higher consciousness, high initiating another stage of your life. And you are so much more empowered. So Aquarians are called to lead the next 18 years, are called for some way to become captains of industries, captains of their environment, captains of their body, masters of their life. Pluto wants you to master, is the master magician card, to master your body, to master your shadow, to be impenetrable to the darkness because you embrace the dark. Don't embrace. You are resistant to it. You've faced it, and you've won over it. And that's when God gives you incredibly powerful missions in life after passing the Pluto initiation and can put you in some very important role or whatever. But Pluto will give you for 18 years ahead such strong willpower like never before. If you felt weak, don't worry. Pluto will give you the power to move mountains. Anyway, back to our more mundane November energies rather than 18 years. On the 15th, there is full moon on another angular house. Something important with family, home. So that for the next 2 weeks, seeing family, connecting with family, something you do together with family, something exciting, something, there is Uranian energy, surprising, but also it can throw a wrench in the plans you have with your family because Uranus is like, oh, surprise, something else comes up. Or suddenly some decisions about place of living, about place of residence, about something you have to change, about where you live, or some surprise comes from parents, and especially those Aquarians that are from 22 3 degrees till 26 7 degrees, because the full moon is happening at 24 degrees, so even give it 20 to 29 degrees in Aquarius. If you're those degrees, this full moon, you feel it very strongly. Something draws your attention to home, family, place of living. You do something exciting there, but also you can end up something. You can complete some project of home, of property, and change the dynamic of the family, of how things are being done there. Or with your parents, something important can be happening there. So pay attention, Okay, and then Mercury, and then Saturn is turning direct in your second house on the 15th, the same time as the full moon. So if you had some delays with finances, with resources, some blockages to your self-worth, they start going away by the end of November, possibly. But there is some shift in your finances, shift in your self-esteem, shift in your tastes, or if you've been having some problems with your teeth, or problems with your digestion, or problems with your eating as well. Or if you've been changing your eating habits, now you're going to start seeing the results of your previous efforts, and it becomes easier. Or if you've been having problems with teeth, they start from the end of 15th, but they start shifting there. If you've been having, I've been having so little appetite, it's crazy. Maybe that will shift now. If you've been having some blockages about money as well, as we said, or valuables, or some possessions, and or overall finances is the second house, it becomes easier. The pressure is not as much because Saturn starts moving direct. And at the end of the month, Pluto is already in your sign from the 19th. Now the cards are in you to really transform yourself. You will be, whether you want it or no, there will be more power. And then Mercury starts going retrograde on the 29th, 25th. So, but it stays in your 11th house the whole November and December. So it's more socially active period, November and December. You'll be meeting more people, exchanging more business information. It's a social house with a social connection planet. You might, have, when it goes retrograde, see some friends you haven't seen, or older siblings, or have more conversations. And yes, there might be some correction in a relationship with a friend, or correction in your approach to clients, in your approach to business and gains, something that needs to be rethought, or maybe you take some old project that you had, redo it, correct it, or if you've been working on some long-term project, and if you're working on some long-term project, this 11th house is connected to long-term efforts, project, business or personal, that Mercury is going to require you to put more concentration, effort, more correct, fix things that, that need to be corrected, and so on. All right. Now, last but not least, it's Pisces. I've got some good news for you, Pisces, but let's start from the beginning. Full moon is happening in your 9th house, very supporting 9th house, trying to you. You're going to feel more from the 1st of November, this whole month, there is more optimism, more faith. You can find answers to some questions that you were not sure before. You can get good support from mentors, teachers. You can find a new study or teaching that is inspirational to you, or a new goal and purpose that makes you excited to wake up. Oh, definitely feeling more positive. Maybe some new course of study some of you can take. And if you anything on 9 houses, some trip that you can take to faraway place or to another country, or it can activate for you the desire to study, to travel, to plan your future. And if you want to plan your future, because 9th house is about planning the future, what you want to do, who you want to be, what aligns to your beliefs, what aligns to your vision of the future. They can be renewal of such topics. They're very positive topics, and my 2025 video horoscopes can help you with that, because they lay out for you not just 2025, but the till the end of the decade. These will be videos you'll be coming back over and over and over. So check them out. But yes, maybe start studying something, or maybe there is some developments or in connection to education or teaching project as well. There is more luck around you. There is answer to questions that you need. Definitely more optimistic time and ability where you can see from a higher perspective. And your intuition is strong as well. And whatever new activities you start now, Pisces, the first 15 days of November, they'll be long lasting, because Saturn is trining there. And it's not only 9th house activities for you to start, because this full moon is trining you as well. So for other new beginnings possible, it will be more, they'll be long lasting for you. Then we have Mars opposition Pluto, the first 4 days from your 5th house and the 11th house. There can be some power struggles in social environment, for example, and not necessarily, actually, it's making good aspects to you. So I don't see this Pluto-Mars opposition, but if you see people are clashing more, if you see people are more triggered the first, even the whole November, because Mars keeps the opposition to Pluto for 2 months within 4 or 5 degrees, just people will be more triggered, more sensitive, more ready to fight, to battle. And for you, this mostly is in this 11 and 12, the 12th in November and December, the 6th and the 12th house. You might be asked to sort out November and December in particular, something with your health, because 6th house is related to health, and Mars there being for 2 months and going retrograde at the beginning of December. You will be asked, some of you, especially if there's some health problems that comes up, which is martial in nature, which can be acute or inflammatory or pains, sudden, you'll be asked to change something about your lifestyle and health habits. So I've seen people when Mars is for a few months longer, when it goes retrograde and direct in the 6th house, that over those 6-7 months ahead, for you it's like the next 6 months, you can transform your diet, you can transform your health routine in some way, correct it, change it, your health exercises, and something about your habits. And Pluto is in the 12th house, where it can help you, opposing Mars for 2 months starting from November. Self-sabotaging behaviors, unhealthy habits, addictions, and Mars really can get to work to get those things done. Plus 6th house is work environment. You might be changing something in your work environment, or something with your work with Mars retrograde there. But might take 4 or 5 months, so you might take on some project that requires extra efforts, extra something fixing, correcting, that might prolong itself a bit longer than you expect, but you might come up with really great results at the end. And because Mars and aspecting Mars here gives you concentrated energy towards your work, towards your duties, to put order, to organize, to clean up, to the next 2 months especially strong, to clean up first your diet or your healthy routines, but also your environment around you. But also there might be some changes. Say in the office, they say we're gonna use different software, and you're used to something and now you have to, and it throws off your routines, but that you're gonna feel it more towards December rather than now. Okay. Then the other big event is that on the 15th, Saturn, maybe this is the one that's most important for you, Pisces, Saturn turns direct in your sign. And it turns direct right at 12 degrees Pisces. And those Pisces that are around 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 degrees. They might have been feeling pressure, because Saturn stays the whole November at the same degree. When it stays on the same degree, it feels like everything stops down and something is about to happen, but it feels like it becomes heavier and it's like it's sitting on top of you. Those middle degrees of Pisces, they might have felt more pressure than other times in October, and now in November it still feels heavy because Saturn is on this 12th degree, but from the 15th of November Saturn starts moving forward, but it doesn't move out of this 12th degree till December. So there is a turnaround, change in the winds of how things are, some difficult situation in your life, some pressure, something, some responsibility, duty, something that has been hard on you, something that has been maybe demanding a lot of your discipline, a lot of your focus, or maybe it might have felt overwhelming for you, or some blockage. It starts moving. It starts shifting. It's not going to be as heavy. The pressure starts getting released. But those 10, 11, 12, 12, 13, 14 degrees, still they feel it in November. But the difficult situation is turning around, or if they've been putting some efforts to discipline themselves or to build something, because Saturn is a builder and a discipliner, to control themselves, something, Saturn turning direct, maybe towards the end of November, you'll feel it more and more. You start seeing the results of those previous efforts, and things they're not so blocked, they're not so stuck, they start moving forward now. So good news for you, Pisces. Release of the pressure. And as I said, new moon in Scorpio is helping raise the vibration to see things more optimistically, to find new opportunities. Ninth house is new opportunities to see things from a higher perspective, to feel healthier. The sun is trining you, more vigorous as well. You need that because Saturn is the opposite of the sun. It drags you down sometimes, but it's necessary. And on the same day, we have a full moon in your third house. Sorry, on the 15th, when Saturn turns direct, there is a full moon in your third house. So there might be some surprising news. It's with Uranus, this full moon. Exactly. Uranus, third house, information, surprise, something around those middle of the month in the next 2 weeks as well. You can hear from someone unexpectedly. Something important can happen with siblings, relatives, neighbors, or in your social circle, or with teammates. You might be completing some projects that you worked in with a team, a small team, or completing some written project, or anything third house. Third house is to do with the internet, with contracts, with writing, with speaking, with sales. So there might be something that you're completing there. Or you just hear from someone and your plans are a bit thrown out. Because third house is also a house where it's your everyday reality. But something exciting happens there. Or you can be good time to go public with a media message, because Uranus rules media, so does third house. But there is a bit of danger because this eclipse is with Uranus, which is explosive, on the star Algol, which is explosive. So some kind of confrontation with others verbally, just those types of people, third house people that we talked about, something happening with them in your life. But usually full moon, only because it's with this more dangerous star Algol, it's that the star of losing one's head. You can lose your head in communications or something. So you have to be a bit more careful. But otherwise, you can complete some project here. You can learn something. You can, have some trip as well. Third house is short trips, meet with relatives and whatever, and friends. Pluto leaves your 11th house on the 19th, enters your 12th house. You're not going to feel that much. It's away from you, but for the next 18 years, it's going to work on your 12th house to really clean you up from unhealthy habits. These are self-sabotaging behaviors, addictions. And I had Pluto for 16 years there. I can tell you, I struggled with a lot of those, but I've conquered almost all of them. And it happens organically, because it's a long transit. And yeah, you meet that side of yourself as well and try to overcome it. It also will intensify your sleep world. You dream more vividly, more intensely, and you'll be working through a lot of your psychological issues through your dreams. And you can be very successful in some 12th house direction over the next 18 years. Psychological, spiritual, counseling others, seeing to the depths of the soul, film directors, people that are behind the scenes in some sort but pull the strings, or someone who is in healing in hospitals, in more spiritual fields or more artistic fields as well. Some of you Pisces might be called really to put a lot of focus and development, because Pluto is willpower concentrated into this 12th house. And my business, spiritual business, I developed it with Pluto in the 12th house. And a lot of deep insights, you discover a lot of psychological deep insights as well. And you throw out a lot of influences that are toxic from you, because 8th house is house of endings, and Pluto, you kind of organically excrete them from your astral system. Or you might even have some mission in a foreign country, because Pluto can often give us a mission in certain area of life. But that's for many, many years ahead. Now let's come back to this month. Venus goes on the 11th into your 11th house. So it's good time for social get-togethers from the 11th of November into December. So yeah, that makes sure that it keeps trine with your relationship houses here on the 11th, despite of this more explosive new moon, a full moon in your 3rd house, which is also connected to communications, to connecting with others. Venus is already holding a trine. So I think even this full moon, even though it's more explosive, will be mitigated for you. You have the charm there helping the full moon from Venus in the 11th house. What else? Yeah, I think that's the full moon. And Sagittarius. Yes, sorry, Sagittarius. Mercury will be in your 10th house for 2 months, the whole November and the whole December. And I think that's probably one of, together with Saturn, the other influence you're going to feel the most is Mercury there. Because these are directly kind of making aspects to you, the more potent aspects. So first of all, some pressure comes out of you from Saturn here, some difficult situation turns in another direction. And then Mercury, from November, you might have a lot of focus on career, on doing something that requires you writing, speaking, mercurial qualities, which kind of corresponds with this full moon here, which is also mercurial qualities, writing, speaking, managing, organizing, some kind of organizational activities, or just Mercury is very potent for you this month, November. So try to get finished work done by the end of November, and 25th Mercury turns retrograde. So after that, there might be some delays till the middle of December, or some complications with mercurial work, which is like miscommunication, or the boss can return something that you redo it, or you have to correct something, or something missing. And, such kind of, you have to be careful November and December to cross your T's and dot your I's. So you don't miss certain details, because they're very visible mistakes. Mercury is on top of the horoscopes. Mistakes will be very visible and can definitely, you can feel it much more. Others can see those mistakes as well, but I'm usually very productive with Mercury retrograde in the 10th house. I get a lot of things done for business. I correct things that are not going well. I have important conversations about my career and change the plans. But some of you might, towards the end of November, December, start to change career direction or question certain aspects, or have to correct something there, or the structure of their career. Some old project or job can come back to you that maybe they applied for before, but now it comes back, or an old project or an idea comes back for them to re-examine it. But Otherwise, you have to be aware of all those Mercury retrograde issues that we all know about: miscommunications, clarifying conversations, unsaid things that come to the surface. They need to be done, those things, but also it can be meeting people you haven't seen for a while. So it has two sides. But yeah, that can get a bit the end of November and the first 15 days of December, where you have to finishing works, corrective works, maybe for Christmas, redoing it and so on. Some deal doesn't go like you want, so you rethink it, or some negotiations have to be redone because they slow down, or you're trying to do a sale or whatever, but actually you're missing something there. You have to change something before the sale is done. This can be very potent for you, but also very busy Mercury time. Anyone in Mercurial career where you have to communicate, to use media, to write, to correspondence, to have meetings, to write reports, to analyze, to think, to use the skills. Very useful time. Despite of the retrograde, actually the retrograde makes you perfect things, makes you make more effort, and because Mercury will be square Saturn in December and in November, it will show you mistakes, and it will show you that even if it slows the things, that there is better ways for this to be done. And there might be some conversations with bosses, authority figures, some important decisions there that are happening as well. All right. Woo! Thank you very much. And may you be blessed. I love you all.